Joshua Earp.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
What's up, my brother? Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, man.
So pumped.
I always believe in gratitude because they say all of success, which is merely the progressive realization of a worthy idea or goal, can be summed up with one word, and that's attitude. Because everything we do has an equal and opposite reaction, right? And so, people just react to the way we act. And so if you take the word attitude and put, a GR in front of it, you get gratitude. And I always say you have to be grateful in order to become great.
Yep. Yeah. We have to become grateful to become great. And also, you can't be grateful and angry at the same time. And we're grateful to Matt McKibben for
oh my God,
bringing us together.
Amazing
Love
individual.
you so much, brother.
We love you, Matt, if you're listening to this.
We love you so much. This has been one of my favorite Los Angeles intros so far, and I'm just been so pumped for this conversation. We're going to unpack piercing the veil of reality. We're going to unpack so many great aspects to patterns in nature, cracking search engine optimization, the synthesis of science and spirituality, the nature of consciousness, God, reality. Ridiculously pumped. You're one of my favorite tennis players to play with.
Well, because we both know we can hit the ball.
That's right.
We know we're not going to hit it towards a dead end.
That's right. Okay, Joshua Earp comes from the lineage of Wyatt Earp, which is very interesting. Let's unpack the journey, though. As much detail as you'd like to share with us.
Yeah.
Who were you growing up? What's up with your lineage? How did you pick up the interests that you care about today?
Yeah. I mean, even though the Wyatt Earp, family bloodline, I guess, some consider Hollywood royalty or whatever, I actually grew up with, no money. I grew up with, didn't know anybody in the middle of Illinois, which is where Wyatt Earp's from. And there was nothing around me except churches and cornfields, and that's it. So, they always say if opportunity doesn't knock, you have to build a door. So I decided, I was just going to keep building doors until finally it started knocking. So, but no, it's, so that's where I came from. I was always interested in the human mind. I was always interested in entheogenic, properties. I was always interested in mentalism and magic and hypnosis and really just supernatural paranormal things, rooted in science, not necessarily rooted in, any more of the less intangible stuff, even though, as you know as well, everything is pretty much metaphysical because, that's why Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which was really just a long form sales letter for his much larger work, The Laws of Success. And even that he ripped off of Wallace D. Wattles, Science of Getting Rich. Or borrowed, rather, not ripped off, because Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal, right? I mean, hey, if you have universal principles that work, why not just regurgitate them and sell millions of copies? Which, by the way, it's the second best-selling book, next to the Bible. My friend Don Green's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And the thing is it's the second best-selling book next to the Bible, and it's created more millionaires than any other book in history. And there's a whole chapter dedicated to, one of my favorites is the mystery of sex transmutation, which we can get into, but also the whole chapter dedicated to enthusiasm, which, believe it or not, the two actually tie hand in hand. And that, like I said, entheogenic properties is enthuse, right, which is esoteric or inner rather than exoteric outer, which is excitement, Yeah.
Unleashing the divine within. Amen to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what about this finding yourself growing up in Illinois and setting yourself up with these opportunities that awakened you more and more to the biggest questions about reality, and then the move to Los Angeles? How did that happen?
Yeah, so instead of going out and networking and finding the right people, you have to first become the right person. That was a big breakthrough for me. So everything and everyone that I've attracted into my life is the direct result of the person that I became. In the process. And so rather than going out there looking for it, right, you must search in here. And
what were some of those things, though, that led you to that investigation of awareness and the upgrading of your own state of consciousness to higher vibration? How did those triggers happen? Was it someone in the lineage? Was it
Yeah, there's really not much, in the lineage necessarily. I mean, besides, I guess, my
Or
DNA.
was it Think and Grow Rich? Was it like things like that?
Think and Grow Rich really had a profound effect on me because it's basically saying, write your goals in stone, right? But write the methods in sand, meaning that you have to be stubborn about your goals, but be flexible with your methods. And if you don't end up hitting your goal, you don't change the goal, you simply change the methodology, in order to get you there. In fact, and that ties in also with counterfactual simulation, which is, basically reverse engineering, the end result. Like Dr. Stephen Covey, the author of, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which he also borrowed those ideas from another source. Hey, we all do, though.
Yeah.
Nothing against those guys or anything. In fact, it's great for them to bring this stuff to light, right? Which light is consciousness, and consciousness is information. But anyway, so he always says begin with the end in mind, right? And so the whole thing is
in stone, but having the trajectory be more like sand, flexible on how we get there. Yeah.
And so the thing is what's a good analogy here? So basically, it's all about counterfactual simulation. So let me explain kind of more about that. So it's beginning with the end in mind, essentially, but there's more to it. So counterfactual simulation is the basis in which all science fiction is written, right? Which science was founded by a man by the name of René Descartes upon an angelic vision. So even science itself, as practical as it is, has its roots in, the occult or esotericism or mysticism, right? And so science fiction, the root of all of it, right, is counterfactual simulation. So it's asking yourself the question, what would it look like if blank happened? Okay, so in science fiction, it might look like something like this. What would it look like if something crazy happened? And then their mind or their hand will just start kind of automatic writing. It'll just automatically start filling in the gaps. Right? So when it comes to setting goals and success or relationships or health or anything like that, we have to begin with the end in mind. Okay? And but before that, though, one thing I also want to say is that, I can even show you an experiment. So,
and it would look something like this. I would assume we would have, like in chapter 2 in seed theory and high level perception, you have that sort of birth point, and then you have this big North Star, and that's what you write in stone as you're describing in these science fiction sort of writings. And then you're very loose in terms of the trajectory space of the ways in sand for you to actually attain said.
Yeah, the purpose of life is to discover your purpose. And so the whole thing is if I were to ask you, let's do an example right now, an analogy, right? So if I were to ask you, what would it look like if you were standing on the moon and you looked around you? What would that look like?
Beautiful.
And do you see how your brain began immediately configuring a mental image of what it would look like?
I love it.
Well, that right there is called counterfactual simulation.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, like I said, goal setting,
I wonder why it has to be counterfactual, because in computer science, we also call this a Monte Carlo tree search or a model-based reinforcement learning. Why does it have to be counterfactual? Because it's a simulated? Is that why it's counterfactual?
It could be. Well, basically what I was getting at with that point is that...
I'm just wondering in terms of the branding.
Yeah, but just to finish the
because like Jordan Peterson also calls it future authoring.
I like Jordan Peterson a lot.
Yeah. But you see the branding
again, he's using language, which is a phenomenon, to describe other phenomenon, right? So you can only go so far in that direction. But one thing I was going to say, just to finish the thought, is the same way your brain began immediately configuring, regardless of the terminology, whether it's counterfactual or not, the same way that your brain began mentally configuring that image is what is known as counterfactual simulation. And so the whole thing is when it comes to success, right? You just set the goal, and then your brain will begin, just like you did with the moon exercise, which we'll get into the moon and NASA and all this other stuff with, translucent objects and all that. But the whole thing is your brain will automatically fill in the gaps to get you there and reverse engineer the steps that it takes to get to that goal, regardless of what the terminology is called.
Yeah. I would definitely completely concur that in essence that you seem to have identified at a very young age is super rich and valuable, and then now the way that you're sharing it with other people, super rich and valuable.
Yeah.
I would say that from what I understand, the idea that we've been sharing as counterfactual simulation, or this idea of a North Star, or this idea of Monte Carlo tree search or model-based reinforcement learning, I would say that future authoring. I agree with you in principle that it's that principle that is paramount to do. But I would also argue that the mimetic label is extremely important in the sense of the more precise, concise, and storytelling that it becomes, explain like I'm five, which is why North Star is pretty fucking good. And it's better than Monte Carlo tree search, counterfactual simulation, MBRL, future authoring. Future authoring is pretty simple, but North Star seems to be most simple. And that is what is needed for children to, at younger ages than even we awaken to these phenomena, grasp it and then have that sort of divine realization, what the fuck is my North Star? Because I want to actualize gifts into the world. And then that's where I love that. Okay, so then you had these profound moments when you were growing up. Yeah, those were some of the big triggers of even moving to LA.
Yeah, so I'll just go over the whole story, and so basically at the age of 8 years old, growing up in Illinois, I started playing guitar, and that's whenever I discovered the Pythagorean golden ratio of 2 to 1, and the 12th fret on the guitar repeats back at 1 at 13 as well. And so, I've always had this very mathematical, symphonic, orchestral type of a brain, that just is fascinated by all this stuff, But so 8 years old is when I started. And actually being ambidextrous, which I'm not ambidextrous, but, guitar, definitely helps with your dexterity, right? But being ambidextrous is actually what unlocks, the two hemisphere of the brains, kind of like monoatomic white gold and Ormus, which, balances the two hemispheres of the brain as well. But anyway, so
you can practice. Just brush your teeth with your left hand sometimes. You know, try to cut some vegetables with your left hand.
Yeah, my friend actually would teach how to become ambidextrous by taking two pens at the same time and drawing as small of the circle as you possibly can, and then slowly making it bigger over time and training your brain. He basically trains genius, which, by the way, Benjamin Franklin said that, like I said earlier, is that genius is simply a greater aptitude for patience. I believe any human can be trained to do anything. If you'll basically, what I'm trying to say is you'll find a way, or you're either going to find an excuse.
Okay, so you were at 8 years old picking up guitar, music.
Guitar magic, okay? So magic, not magic with a K, which is ceremonial and ritualistic in nature, which is all about affecting the outcomes of events through, at a distance, right? Which is real, by the way. In fact, back in the day, magic and the Hermetic, occultic, divinatory sciences and modern-day science, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure, were the two main branches. And over time, magic, the real magic, not with a C, not illusions, the ceremonial, ritualistic magic based off of intent, was way too powerful for a bunch of low-life, peasants, which is what the elite or predatory class look at us as. It was way too powerful to be in our hands, and so they slowly, and when I say slowly, not so slowly, did away with that, and then now they only teach us capital S science, which is basically the new religion. It's all based on, scientists can be bought just as easily as politicians, and so anytime we have mainstream, people of scientific nature, trying to, say and depict this false view of reality upon the lower class, I just don't buy it. It's just like the Big Bang Theory, it's like there was nothing and then nothing exploded and then it created something. I just don't buy it. If you I just don't buy it, man. And the thing is, it's like you just got to make sure that you're being force fed this information from the elite from a very early age for a reason, and it's not for your own benefit, So anyway, back to the story, because I know I'm kind of going all over the place. 8 years old, started learning mentalism, which is an ancient occult science. The word occult, don't let that freak you out. It's nothing like the word cult. Occult stems from the Latin word occultare, which means secret or hidden. So, when someone says they have vast knowledge of the occult, that means they have vast forbidden or secret or hidden knowledge, right? Which knowledge comes from the Greek word gnosis, and where you get hypnosis as well, and Gnosticism, which is kind of like, Greek mysticism, similar to how the Kabbalah is Jewish magic or Jewish mysticism, correct? Which, comprises of various sephiros or sapphires, the lowest being Yesod, in Hebrew, which means the foundation, which all stems back from the ancient Babylonian mystery traditions and was carried through, the Freemasonic and Rosicrucian and Jesuitism and illuminated seers of Bavarian societies and other co-Masonic societies that have been the connective tissue from the ancient mysteries to that of today. And so anyway, long story short, now here's Tom with the weather. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, so from 8 years old, I started learning all this stuff: magic, mentalism, hypnosis. I started experimenting with entheogenic substances, like 4-phosphoryl-oxy-N dimethyltryptamine, which is the psychedelic psilocybin mushroom, which is, mushrooms were the first organisms to come to land billions of years before plants, and we're more related to the fungi kingdom than any other kingdom, more than the animal kingdom, the insect kingdom, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, so that's kind of how I started. Now, so I've always been involved in entertainment since I was young, because that's just, my DNA. I guess that's what I wanted to do. That's who I wanted to become. I wanted to, just express myself through music, kind of like Pythagoras did, which music has a very, key role in the earlier secret societies as well. Because it all ties in with, like Nikola Tesla said, frequency, number, and vibration, and resonance. That's what it is. So that's how I got my start. Now, I was always very curious, as I'm sure you can imagine. I always had this incredibly vast thirst for knowledge. I have a student mentality. As much as it seems like I'm teaching, they say whenever you learn, you shall teach. And whenever you receive, you shall give. And so that's kind of the whole, approach that I've taken. But anyway, so the story of my life basically is, so that's what happened when I was 8 years old. I grew up and, became progressively better at the things I decided to focus on with unrelinquished, self-discipline and things like that, right? By the way, I think, especially whenever you dissect, high levels of achievement, I think that self-discipline, the neuropsychology of self-discipline is the closest thing you could have to a wish-granting fairy godmother. Yeah. I mean, it's like having a genie in a magic lamp that can grant your every single wish as long as you know how to use it correctly or rub it correctly, Yeah. And so anyway, and I didn't have any mentors growing up. I didn't have any teachers. I was all self-taught, It's like I grew up with the internet, and I would research things about, when I was very, very young, about cancer and disease and, the true human origin. And G. Edward Griffin, his book World Without Cancer really changed my mind on that completely. And then I got into The Creature from Jekyll Island, about the second look at the history of the Federal Reserve, and learned about that very early on, and all this other stuff, right? But there, once again, I started with no money. I started with no connections. I basically created everything I built from scratch. And a lot of people have done that, right? A lot of people have done that. But the whole thing, though, is basically, with all that being said, there was no opportunity around me, because it was just cornfields and churches, and that's all I had. So what I decided to do is I decided to go into business, right? Search engine optimization. My first business was actually a stage hypnosis business. I'm one of the world's fastest hypnotists by record for instant inductions and, implanting suggestion through the subconscious mind by bypassing the critical faculty, through triggering the amygdala and shocking the central nervous system, which we'll talk about that in a little bit if you want. But I also broke the world's record for BPM on guitar. So I'm one of the fastest guitar players, if not the fastest in the world, according to the fact that I broke 2,000 beats per minute through sweep picking arpeggios, is what it's called on guitar. So anyway, there's that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so what did I do is I went to the internet, and I started learning, and I started teaching myself. There's so many people that, have trouble making money. And the first question I ask, well, how much time do you spend? How many hours a day do you spend learning how to make money? And they always seem surprised, and they always say, well, 0. And I say, well, if you spend 0 hours a day learning how to make money, and you look in your bank account, there's no money there, then it's the cognitive dissonance is astronomically exponential. It's very anomalic in nature. So it's a phenomalic phenomenon. Or see how I did that? I switched the words. It's not a anomalic phenomenon. I switched it backwards. But anyway, so long story short is that's kind of what happened. And so I started getting really good at a skill. Let's
unpack.
Let's dissect.
So much. I love it. As you can tell, Joshua's lattice work of concepts is across many different fields, and that's why we relate so deeply, because it's very synthesis driven, and it's also what gives so many unique insights across the disciplines, is when you've been able to do that. So I really like all that about you a lot. And there's tons of things in there that you mentioned that we'll probably end up, like you said, revisiting as we go into later parts of the conversation. But most specifically, I think what's relevant into what we're about to dive into is the idea that you found out over time that, similar to me with Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and you being in Illinois, many people, as they gravitate out to metropolises for something that is potentially higher up on the fitness landscape in terms of people, in terms of ideas, in terms of execution capacity, things like that, that you created your own opportunities, and that in the sense it was driven by this idea of the star, and that this idea of the star for you is that this very simple, fundamental question to ask, which is something along the lines of, how many hours a day am I spending on learning how to make money?
Yeah, but it's not just money. It's
totally,
it's how many hours a day. Like,
am I dedicated to my North Star?
Yeah,
specifically,
exactly.
And money's one of the tools we use to help us accelerate that process.
It's a very low vibration. It's very,
and it has
reptilian minded,
ethical and moral and spiritual along the journey. And so specifically, I love that question. And then also I love the perspective of, as you figure out over time what the most, because from this very synthetic perspective, you're identifying patterns. You're basically able to explore more patterns across the different disciplines. And then that enables you to come to these realizations that, given a specific person's North Star, there's specific patterns that enable them to achieve it most efficaciously.
Yeah, and it's, like Charlie Munger said, there's some people that know a little bit about a little, there's some people that know a little bit about a lot, and there's some people that know a lot about a lot. And I always considered myself more on the polymath side.
Me too.
But I'm the complete opposite of scattered. I really, when I go to master something, I spend all my time, effort, and energy. I put my 10,000 hours in, and I'm very, very focused, because, laser-like focus is what separates an average man from a warrior. And, what we focus on expands. And, Bruce Lee said that I don't fear a man who practices 1,000 kicks a day. I fear a man who practices one kick 1,000 times a day. Yeah. Well, that's what I did. And then after I mastered that kick, I went on to the next one. And after that, to the next one. It got to the point, like being the world's fastest hypnotist and fastest guitar player and this and that. And I can go down the list or whatever. But I just do it until the point where I'm not intellectually stimulated anymore. I've completely mastered it. I know all the scales on guitars, all the notes you can possibly play. I know all the, it just gets to the point where you get bored and then you move on. Okay, then I mastered martial arts, and then I went on to master, magic, and then after that, mentalism, which, will show you guys some cool stuff maybe after this. But then also, hypnosis, and then business. And then I learned business, and I learned internet marketing, and I completely mastered internet marketing in and of itself, all the way down from the email marketing sequences to retargeting, paid ads, list building, like everything you can imagine, like neuro-linguistic programming in terms of direct response copywriting elements such as presuppositions, embedded commands, future pacing, and other hypnotic language patterns. And then I got to the point where I mastered internet marketing, right? Because everything's all about fundamentals, elements, and principles, right? And so once I mastered that, then I moved on to search engine optimization, because it's a recursive mathematical algorithm, which just means that it's like the Fibonacci sequence, Eli 5, explain like I'm 5, right? It's just completely recursive in nature, meaning it keeps on going. And so the fact that SEO is an algorithm that's constantly being updated and changed, it was like a puzzle to me. So SEO was the only of the internet marketing disciplines, which is the most important thing in today's economic, digital, innovative environment. to learn that SEO is what I chose, because that's the only thing that could keep me intellectually stimulated, you know?
And that's specifically because the algorithm for search engine optimization is constantly being updated over time based on the addition of the millions of web pages and companies that enter the space. For example, it wasn't as common for people to have even TikTok profiles like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And so that in itself was not so much part of the algorithm that we would need to update. So the SEO in a sense keeps your ability, let's see if I can hit this in general. SEO keeps the individual artist as they're achieving their North Star. It keeps their ability to become the most efficacious around, especially the distillation of memetics that inspire people to pay attention to what they're doing on their North Star journey as something that's crucial.
And sometimes, one of my, advisors is a billionaire, and he, he manages a lot of older Hollywood stars' money and stuff, and he always says, do what makes the most money the fastest, and then do what you love. And I would imagine the reason he said that is because if you just only do what you love all the time, you might be doing what you love on the street, So it's like, it's that fine balance between, step one is survive, step two is thrive, right? And use the money to fund your passion, So even though you may not, let's say you want to become the world's greatest singer, right? Even though you may have to do SEO or work some other side job or whatever it is to get to that point, at least you still have that North Star intact. And even though it seems like you're going in this direction, you're doing what makes the most money the fastest, so then you can do what you love, and you're sacrificing a few years of your life doing the things no one else would do or want to do to live the rest of your life in a way that no one else can.
Yep. Another one of the perennial wisdoms of those that are passing along the most efficacious trajectory enhancing techniques to achieve North Stars. And in this case, the more that you become, I love this one, the more that you become enriched around your understanding of the way that SEO works, the more you're able to achieve that North Star most efficaciously in many ways. I mean, a lot of people want to just be a good parent. There's a big color wheel of options of what people want to achieve in the world. And so a lot of the times it's not something that is hyper up the bell curve and wanting to impact 1 billion people, which is what we're talking about right now, which is becoming the absolute best mimetic distiller and communicator so that people pay attention to what updates you're trying to cast on the planet. And even then, that's the same thing's true for what you were just saying a moment ago, which is that a lot of people have to be patient, like you were saying earlier, about wanting to do something that may be ethical money attainment and then fueling that into the North Star fire. But that's usually for something that if someone says that, well, maybe my North Star for maybe the color orange on the color wheel is maybe something along the lines of, well, I'm cool with maybe just running a business in my local city, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, and being a good parent.
That's a great point. And so that's why I said in the beginning, success by definition, right, is the progressive, keyword progressive, right? Realization, right? Of a worthy idea or goal. So what that means is the woman that's working at the gas station is just as successful as the man that went to school to become a doctor, given that that's what he or she wanted to do. And so that's a really
Yeah.
Illustrious point that I think is
It's
very valid.
crucial. It's crucial. So
Yeah,
the North Star, as long as it's a worthy idea or goal, whatever color it is on the
and
color
you're
wheel,
progressively
realize it.
because
Yeah.
it's all about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
In fact, the future is an illusion. Whenever we arrive at the future, we're going to discover it's just another present moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's this beautiful balance between the absolute highest in the moment, and at the same time negotiating with that future star that we're striving towards.
And the universe is malleable, because the universe is simply the YOU inverse, right? Inverse, that equal opposite reaction. So as long as we progressively go towards our goals, it's like water. It's malleable. It's going to eventually get out of your way. It's like backing the universe into a corner. As long as you just keep going in that direction, which direction's more important than speed, right? Because many are going nowhere fast. If you keep going in that direction and you back the universe in the corner, there's no other option but to become a success. Thomas Edison said, "I was bound to succeed because I simply ran out of ways that would not work." Yeah. We have guys like Henry Ford that say, in order to succeed, we must double our rate of failure. And so, but we also have to learn how to survive the fail as well. And there is no failure until we admit defeat. And so that's why we have to be flexible with our methods, but stubborn with our goals.
Yes. Love that. Now, I want to maybe take this from as high macro level of a perspective as possible, so we don't get lost
and then we'll finish my story
in the weeds. This is one of the cool parts of the story. We got through the earlier. We're kind of in some of the meat right now.
Yeah, and whether my story or not doesn't matter. What matters is the principles and elements we're discussing.
And the foundations, like you said, principles, elements, foundations. Those are crucial.
Well,
they are. You. There's a lot of crucial points along the way that people take from that story. Yeah, all right.
Because we didn't get to when I moved to LA and when I got in the movie industry and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. But
the acting, music, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
Well, also for round 2 and beyond, because there's so many more nuances to unpack, and especially let's take this from a high level perspective. So as we attempt to communicate to people that there is some sort of a pattern of how people can most effectively. So let's talk about the higher performers now. So we're not talking about the color orange of having one business.
The high performers, which is just another synonym for the people with actual self-discipline, right?
Or just the specific color on the wheel, let's say.
For sure.
Yeah, because purple on the wheel, if it is these 2-3 standard deviations up genius that's trying to augment the codes for everybody, excellent. But the person that is the color orange, that's just being a good parent, having a business in a more rural town, great as well. Beautiful expression of consciousness as well.
That's what they want.
If that's what they want to do,
exactly.
Which sometimes people aren't exposed to the ideas and stories and goals and others that help them realize that maybe I do want something a little bit more, which is also fair to say.
Yeah.
All right. So for the purple, let's say, in this scenario, so we have. What is people that are trying to understand, okay, Mr. Joshua Earp, you are in many ways very strategically trained in SEO to the extent at which you can potentially help me as a high performer achieve my North Star with greater efficacy. So my question would be something like this, on the most macro level way, for this color purple person that's trying through whatever medium it is that today. They maybe have their websites, they have their social media accounts, they have their business, whether it be a physical brick and mortar business or something that's e-commerce related or something that's strictly media related and advertisement generating for revenue, brand deals, all this different type of stuff.
Yeah.
We have just the generic style of business, and we have the generic style of websites and social accounts and all that stuff. What is that top recommendation or two for this entrepreneur that's hustling in the SEO space?
What is the what exactly?
What's the top recommendation for this entrepreneur that's hustling
for
them to do in the SEO space to rocket them up?
Gotcha. The first thing I would say is join the Amish community. No, I'm just kidding. That's the complete opposite. No, I was just thinking because when you started talking about social media and SEO, I was like, damn, we are in the 21st century, approaching the next, right?
Yeah.
But no, what we do is we reverse engineer Google's patents. So we take all the guesswork out of it. We don't believe in wasting time. We reverse engineer the patents. A lot of people don't know you can do that. You go to google.com/patents. It'll 301 redirect you to the patents.google.com subdomain, and it looks like just a normal search engine like Google. But
may we?
Yeah, exactly. It's the patent search engine. I'll show you my favorite patent.
Okay, you said it's google.com/patent.
Yeah, patents, and then what it's going to do is 301 redirect you to patents.google.com, which it looks like just another search engine, but it's actually not.
Okay, hold on a second. So, all right, so we typed in google.com/patents, and we just got redirected to.
It should be patents.google.gov or something like
that. But it just took us to click on this.
No, the browser or the URL.
Oh, the URL. Okay.
Click on that and then hit command, like copy it. Okay, and then paste it again. Okay, and what popped up? Okay, so they're always changing things around. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So here we are, though.
So the whole point is you're in the patent search engine. They always do a hard code redirect somewhere else. Okay, so now type in ranking documents. Okay, ranking documents.
Okay.
Okay, and then you pull up the first one. Actually, let's see. Yeah, okay. So the first one. So what you're looking at, if you notice real quick before you click, is what we're looking at is not a typical Google search engine. This is the patent search engine, okay? And most changes that Google updates, which by the way, just so you guys understand why we're even talking about this, 97%, okay? I mean, this is an astronomical number. 97% of all online experiences in general, okay? Experiences online, 97% begins with a search engine.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, social media is very cute, okay? You can make money off of it. It's very cute. But that's only 3% of the pie. Why would you spend most of your efforts and energy and also most of your money, on paid ads or whatever it ends up being, on only 3%? I mean, it's SEO, which is Google, right? Essentially, I can do any search engine, but it essentially is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and it's so big that no one can see it because it's so big and it's right in front of them, and no one's talking about it. So it's like. And it's a really crazy thing. But anyway,
so 97% of all internet-related experiences.
Yes.
So
begin with a search.
Begin with a search. So basically, the substrate monopoly right now is in Google's hands, and so people, as they go into the internet, into the online space, there's the way that they do so is via Google. 97% of all online experience.
Yeah, just search engines in general. It could be Yandex. It could be
Google.
Okay.
It could be YouTube. So 97% is search engines in general.
Yeah. But if you rank on Google, you pretty much rank on all of them by default.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good thing.
Got it. Oh, because we have Baidu.
Yeah, we have Yandex. We have DuckDuckGo. We have all these others. Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, though, is that they every time they update their algorithm, they have to publicly declare it in a patent. And so
every time through the USPTO they publish.
Yeah, they actually take all their patents of their search engine from Yahoo, and they steal them essentially. And Yahoo and Google and WhatsApp and Dropbox and all these other companies, are financed by this company called Sequoia Capital, which we're working with some of the guys there. We were friends with Don Valentine before he passed away and all that, which was the head of Silicon Valley. Or no, he was the head of Sequoia Capital, and his nickname was the grandfather of all Silicon Valley investing. And the reason why is because his company, Sequoia Capital, they own 33% of NASDAQ. There's that number 33. We'll talk about that later. But also, he always said it, and they funded Apple too, by the way, which I've spoke on stage with Steve Wozniak. The videos are on my Instagram. I've advised some of the biggest people in the world and internet marketers in the world: Ty Lopez, Frank Kern, the guy that made the first $1 million online. Like I'm the guy that teaches all these guys in terms of algorithms and search engine optimization, and all that stuff, right? I've opened up for Edward Snowden. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, right? And those are just a few, as you can see probably by my thing, but But anyway, long story short is this, man, is...
let's go to the ranking documents.
Yeah, so the ranking documents, go ahead and click on the first patent.
Okay.
Okay, so we reverse engineer Google's patents. They tell you exactly what to do. It's just most people don't have, 16 hours a day for years on end to just sit there and distinguish patents, right? But you'll see it says a system determines a first rank associated with a document, and then determines a second rank associated with the document where the second rank is different from the first rank.
Sure.
The system also changes during a transition period that occurs during a transition from the first rank to the second rank, a transition rank associated with the document based on a rank transition function that varies the transition rank over time or any change in ranking factors. Without any change in ranking factors associated with the document. And you'll see the diagrams as well. So when it comes to your link building, they're really telling you, what you should be focused on, what you should not be. In fact, some of our diagrams, which we'll pull up later.
Oh, later?
Or we can do it now if you want. We actually, leverage and utilize a lot of their, patents to create our documents. This is just one that you're looking at right here, which we can come back to it whenever we get to that point.
Okay.
But essentially, yeah.
You can see they look similar. Yeah, your diagram looks a lot similar.
Yeah, what we do is we reverse engineer Google's patents so we know what works. So it takes all the guesswork out of it, right? It's almost like and then what we do is we scientifically A/B split test and isolate variables and controlled experiments and test different link building strategies via the patents to figure out what works and what doesn't, because they don't code everything that they put in a patent.
Okay, let's try and break this down. So it seems as though this first sentence is describing how the first rank is different than the second rank.
Yeah, so
and that then as you describe is that then there's a process of being able to do a split, an A/B split, where you can determine which one of those two is going to be more fruitful for ranking yourself higher.
Not necessarily. Okay. The reason why this patent's relevant is just because once you start the link building process, which is how you rank your site, because essentially all the internet is a bunch of web documents that link to other web documents. It's called a citation, essentially, right? So that's why I don't care how many times Google updates their algorithm. It doesn't matter to me, because I know the principles of the internet, like Sir Tim Berners-Lee that created, and CERN, the hypertext transfer protocol, which is now hypertext transfer protocol secured, HTTPS and all that. I'm basically, just so you know, I'm an HTTP trap lord. That's what I am. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so the whole thing, though, just so you understand, is the reason why this is relevant is once you start building...
It's nodes that are linked to other nodes.
Exactly.
And so when you begin visualizing it in that sort of graph theory way, then you're attempting to see which nodes have the power law ranking of popularity and what relationships or connections there are to other nodes that have inlinks to that node specifically.
You can say it like that. Essentially, we go to auction and have domain brokers, and we buy and acquire the most powerful SEO domains on the internet. We circumvent the whole process by, buying domains that already have great SEO, that already spent years and years and years. Because once you forget to renew your hosting or registration,
that's right,
then it goes to an auction pool where guys like me bid on it, or it gets lost or whatever. So I buy these nodes or these domains that already have great SEO, and then I just upload content to them and link out to my client. So whenever Google sees all these high-quality websites linking to this website, then they give it more of a boost in the search engine. Because the way Google's
let's just keep breaking this down along the way. So then there's over the last 20 plus years, there have been more and more domains, really high-quality domains that have built up their SEO ranking over time, but then what happened is maybe the brand begins to stop producing its product or service. Number of reasons. Person dies. There's all different types of reasons. The entrepreneur dies.
Forget to pay the host.
Forget to pay it. Yeah. And so then it goes to the auction house, and then registration. And then so it goes to the auction, and then there's people like you that are basically power law ranking the domains that have the absolute highest SEO, and then you're purchasing those, and then what you're doing on those domains that have already have this like 20-year potentially history of high 100%. SEO is you're then creating in links to your clients' websites. So you could maybe make a blog. You can maybe make a blog on there and then write relevant content that links to your clients. And then Google's like, wow, look at this 20-year domain that's been around that is in linking to these new companies.
With thousands of links already pointing to it, and I just save so much time. I'm telling you, bro. I'm like the SEO Zen master, bro. I'm telling you. But no, like
SEO Zen master.
I'm the HTTP trap lord.
Trap lord. That's funny. Yeah,
I've been doing this a long time. 10 years I've been doing SEO.
Yeah,
just
bro.
SEO. Yeah. So like I take this stuff very seriously.
For sure, that's mastery for sure.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Talk about 10,000 hours. I put in 10 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
24 hours a day besides sleep, of course. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, and then we've automated that process.
So would you say
take
that's
software and automate that process? That we
yes, correct. Yes. So would you say that what you just described, including the software automation that's basically doing the process of running scripts to find the expired domains that have the good history to purchase.
Yeah, they're not necessarily expired. But yeah, exactly. Like
And would you say that this process that we're describing right now, right here, would you say that this is as I asked that question earlier, is this the number one thing that people can be looking at?
This is what ranks your website. So let me explain how Google's algorithm works.
I want, let's say Simulation Series or whoever else, insert your business URL here, your business URL. You would want Simulation Series to get someone that already has a domain that has been around for 2 decades to in-link to Simulation Series is basically writing a blog and saying it's a vote. So they're basically voting that
it's a citation.
It's a citation. They're voting that they're citing that Alan's simulationseries.com node that's only 3 years old actually is really highly useful. So they're citing that.
We're creating the illusion that your site is very useful. Now, here's the thing. Even if your site wasn't very useful, we still make it appear that way to Google. Because it's a robot, it's not a human, it can't think. So it's all based on numbers and mathematics.
But we do want it to be valuable. We want it to be valuable. We don't want junk to show up at the top.
I mean, I can rank anything.
But you can also hybridize the AI with human to where the human's making sure that it's something that's actually valuable. And that's a really good intention as well, in a sense, because I don't want things that are malevolent showing up just because somebody went and did the process. Like your intent. That's that's the role of the whole show, is to do that. What's the idea?
I need to blockchain the SEO industry because no one has done it yet. And it's an $80 billion a year industry, and it's only growing. And no one's blockchained it out because no one understands it the way that I understand it. Yeah. And so...
What do you mean by blockchaining
like all the way,
out?
You know how, like, because I have friends that have, like, the #1 marijuana blockchain company that literally, tracks... all the way from seed to sale, we could do the same thing with the domains, or we could do the same thing with SEO processes.
There you
integrate
go.
Smart
now I'm following
and oracles into it, in terms of and also the block stack and things like that as well.
Interesting.
So that's
it's not done. It hasn't been done.
It has not been done.
There's no one that's doing
SEO is the wild, wild west.
But there's no one that's doing the decentralized blockchain for domains specifically.
Well, even if they did it for domains, like domains are not SEO. I could have all the world's best SEO domains.
So, but you want to overlay SEO on top of the decentralization idea around domains and ownership of the nodes, but you also want to include the SEO, which was those relationships between the nodes,
strategy,
the power
anchor
law.
text. So when I link from website A to website B, there's a link going there. So whatever that link says, the blue hypertext portion, like click here, go here, it might be a keyword, whatever, that's called anchor text, right? That's the anchor that's going to it. And so your anchor text portfolio, right, the percentage of the amount and probability you're using of different keyword-oriented anchor text and branded and URL and partial match anchor text plays a role in it, So it's not just about the domains. In fact, There's a lot of ways to do it without even using domains, but
So would it be smart for the person, insert domain here, in this case we'll use simulation series,
yeah.
it would be smart for us to do our best to find existing sites that have a lot of say, and basically do our best to make a relationship with them or purchase it ourselves.
Every domain is on a unique IP address, and the whois information is blocked. And every domain has its own unique registration and hosting account. So there's literally no way for Google or anyone to tell who it is or what we're doing. There's no way for them to figure this out for us. They'd have to change their entire algorithm, and they're not going to do that because 97% of all Google advertising, all Google's revenue comes from advertising. Yeah. And the only reason they do that is because they have, by the way, that's awesome that you're so in depth on the SEO. Usually people goes over their head.
This. I
love
this.
I mean, this is just a start.
Also,
so listen to this.
And Igor Lenterman and Harvey Pratt from the Semantic Web episode that are making the three-dimensional layer where you actually see the subgraphs of the hypergraph as you're looking up things. Ontology. Yeah, you guys, you too. That I was even thinking about that before we started.
Yeah, Web 3.0, and
you guys. I'll make sure that's a
I'm a semantic
really good
web
one.
expert.
Yeah.
I was putting stuff into Freebase, before they took it down and everything. I got a crazy history with SEO, but I mean, I learned from guys that were doing SEO before it was ever called SEO. It was back when you paid someone to list your business #1 in the Yahoo business directory,
This is the thing about polymaths and synthesis, especially when well rooted in science and spirituality, is that you get these really nice tennises games that we can then put as multiple rounds out to the world that then help the entrepreneurs that have these North Star ambitions begin doing more and more around things like what you've trained 10 years in doing. But also, we're going to unpack all these other subjects, mentalism, conscious God, all these other subjects. It'll be really interesting to hear your angle given what you've been sharing even so far. So it's, it's that seeing the true interconnected and interdependence of everything. What better way to hit it than on an SEO, which is literally the online space.
It's organic and it converts higher than paid traffic, and it's it's more sustainable and it's more reliable, and it has a higher return on investment over time, and it's unlike paid advertising. The moment you stop the ads, your traffic's cut off. SEO, you're creating an asset or domain, right, that's self-sustainably and self-reliably consistently generating residual income through the perpetuation of generating targeted leads that are qualified in your specific market with a specific transactional intention. And SEO is the only way that you, in the history of marketing and advertising, SEO is the only way you can target based off intention. So that brings me to my next point.
Let's do it.
So we reverse engineer Google's patents. Then what we do is we reverse engineer the top competitors. We see who are the other philosophical, intellectual thought leaders that are into simulation, shows and things like that are in your market. And we figure out who those people are, and we take their websites and we use our software to reverse engineer their website to show us what keywords that they're targeting, because our competitors have already spent a lot of money and a lot of time figuring all this out. So we can piggyback off their success. And we can reverse engineer the top keywords from their website that's proven to bring them in traffic and sales.
Whoa.
And target based off of intention, which is something you cannot do at all in paid advertising or any other form of marketing.
So we have, let's see here. Let's see if we can get this right. So we have, one is that there's the reverse engineer of the Google patents. And then we have...
Then we reverse engineer the competitors. Yeah, you could call it competitor analysis if you'd like, whatever you'd like to say.
Reverse engineer the competitors. Competitor analysis.
Okay.
So this is so far what we have, guys. Reverse engineering Google patents, and then reverse engineering the competitor analysis. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then what it is we do even deeper keyword analysis. So what you do, number 3 is, deeper keyword analysis. So essentially we're taking the keywords that we want to rank for, right? And then what we're doing is we're plugging that into our software, and it spits out a list of other keywords that are related to that also have high search volume. And we cherry pick. The keywords are the DNA of your business online, right? The deoxyribonucleic acid of your business, the keywords. The keywords are the bridge between the money, which is the customer, and you, which is your website, right? And so the whole idea is to find as many keywords as we possibly can that have transactional intention, or whichever intent you'd like them to take. Sometimes people do it for passion projects. I also do reputation management, where someone has a bad review or something on the first page and they pay me to take it off. So that's a little different.
And you have the key that you just said here is keyword.
Yeah, and so
interesting.
Now here's the thing.
Okay, so let's go through the example, because this is going to be important. If we can go through the example. So we have simulation. We can say the show around uncovering the nature of reality, consciousness, and maximizing potential.
Like, who would your top competitor be?
And so,
do you have
maybe, I would say maybe right now,
like Carl Sagan. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. I would say right now, probably the podcasts that are most aligned with what we're aligned with are probably the Joe Rogan Experience, Eric Weinstein's Portal, and Lex Friedman's AI podcast. Yeah, I would say those are probably the three, let's say, for now.
Yeah, so we take Lex Friedman's website and we just reverse engineer. How is he getting all of his traffic? How is he getting all these viewers? I use this software called SEMrush. And SEMrush is it's a tool. It's the most industrial SEO tool you can get, basically, with this stuff. And you just put in your website or your competitor's website, and it gives you a whole list of keywords that's bringing them in traffic.
What was that tool called?
SEMrush.
SEM.
Yeah, with
Rush.
Like as in mother, yeah.
SEMrush.
And you also use it not for just competitive analysis, you use it for the keyword analysis.
You use it for both.
Yeah, so you can type in a website or any keyword, and it's going to spit out a whole entire list of keywords that have, that are very similar to that also have the intent behind it that you'd like, and also high search volume. Okay, those are the two magical ingredients for keywords: the intention behind the keyword, and the search volume, meaning how many people are searching for it per month. Okay, and then what we do now.
And so, what would be the word? Let's say would be something like
you can actually even rank for the word Lex Friedman.
Or let's say the word would probably be something a little bit more like consciousness or God,
consciousness exploration,
or AI, or
ancient hermetic principles.
Yeah. But so what you would find is literally, are you saying that literally in this deeper keyword analysis, you would find that they've done a good amount of work already on another example would be, let's say, the cameras or the mics or the lights, the companies that make those. If I'm making a new camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the different Canons and Nikons, their websites, and I'm going to identify what their keywords are that they've already spent millions of dollars
years of time.
In years of time, when somebody types in best camera, best DSLR, all this different type, best lens,
best consciousness podcast, whatever.
Best consciousness podcast. Interesting.
Yeah, best podcast even. You can keep it super general. Best podcast.
Interesting. And so then would then so what we would have to do in order to get simulation or the camera company or whoever up, the new one, it's only 3 years old, 1 year old, etc. They would need to, as like number one, is they would want sites that are already have a high ranking to do things like link to simulation with best podcast written in like their blog post or whatever.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly. Okay. And so once we've done these 3 steps, we're going to have a big list of keywords, right? And remember, that's the bridge between the customer and ourselves. So what we do with this big list of keywords, they say that if opportunity doesn't knock, we must build the door. So what do? Will you go back to the diagram?
Yeah.
The one that we created?
Yeah.
So essentially the whole left side of the diagram is that first box. Maybe you can draw like a little box. It says on-page SEO right there, like going down.
Let me get just going to get a quick a quick reset on the NDI scan converter so I can get it to reread our new change. Let's make sure it does. Okay, there it does. Okay, so now we're going to go back to your shot. Okay, there we go. So now this is on the Earp.com website.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of our sites, but the thing is right here is that we're looking at is the vertical line going down where it says on page SEO at the top, and see how it goes down. It says client website landing page keyword 1, client site website landing page keyword 2, and then keeps going down.
So that's So we're gonna
so you can just draw like a box around it or whatever the case is.
It's probably best actually for me to. Oh, I can't even.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Maybe I can save the image to help quick.
Yeah.
And
so the whole point is.
Okay, so why are you pointing out of everything first? Is that you're pointing at this box up here?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what I'm saying is like.
That's what we're talking about right now. Is what we've been talking about. That's
exactly. So what we're doing.
This procedure.
So we're left with a big list of keywords, right?
Okay.
So if opportunity doesn't knock, we must build a door. So what do? We build a door or build a landing page on the client's website, optimized for each keyword. So we have the keyword in the URL, and the title, and we make sure that the keyword's in the right places.
Interesting. So does that mean that on simulationseries.com that we would write literally the best consciousness podcast?
So what you want to do is your URL, if it was like best podcast, it would be, simulationseries.com/best podcast. The next, and then whatever the keyword is, that's what it is.
Okay.
So
I see. Okay. So what? So would it be fair to say that what you would want to do is you would want to create additional pages?
Yes, of course.
That's the thing.
If you don't have pages on your website optimized for those keywords, good luck ranking for it. Like
exactly.
That's like saying I want the fire first, and then I'll add the wood. It's like no, you have to add the wood first.
I see. Okay, so this is actually a really profound realization. Then is that the number one most simple thing for people to do that have their North Star pursuits in terms of SEO would be just simply whatever the main keyword is. If it's best camera, best smoothie, whatever it is, you need to make your like our friends over at Vitalist, Sarah, she would need to literally on her superfood website, she would literally need to / best smoothie and make a whole page about why her smoothies are the best. And then on the camera website, it would be / best camera, and then a whole bunch of content around why our camera is the best. So simulation would need a / best podcast, and then the reasons why, because we cover all these topics.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the number
brings me
one.
to another point. You can make a lot of money by referring me SEO clients,
Bro,
but anyway.
That's the thing. There's so many epic people that walk in through that door, and the first thing that we're going to say is, how, dude.
You want to be on page 1 or 100?
There.
I mean, it really doesn't matter to me. I'm fine either way, It's up to you.
But especially if the ideas are good, then they deserve the mimetic spread.
They deserve.
There you go.
Yeah. We do is we believe that inside each and every individual and lies a wonderful idea or service or product, right? So every idea, service, or product, we basically take that and we broadcast it to the rest of the world. We're an amplification device. We're the traffic guys. We're the lifeblood of the business. We're the guys that bring you the customers. We're the most, vital part of business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be doing something else.
And this is one
of the SEO wasn't it. I rewrote neuroscience with the founder of the God Particle, Dr. Katsushi Arasaka. I consider myself, not the smartest, but I'm also
Higgs
not
boson,
I'm also not the most stupid. And I'm just telling you right now that if the reason why I'm an SEO is because we rewrote neuroscience with the founder of the God Particle
because of the identification of the Higgs boson. There was
no. He just happened to find the God Particle, the Higgs boson. Dr. Katsushi Arasaka.
Why was there a rewriting of neuroscience?
Well, because it was a completely separate thing. I'm just letting you know who the individual was.
Okay.
So it was due to the microsaccadic eye movements and corollary discharge between central pattern generators, which we can cover later if you want. But just to stay on topic.
Sure.
So we create a unique landing page for each individual keyword, right?
Got it.
And then what we do is we then apply our backlinking strategy. So then all those wonderful domains that we talked
So
about.
what is that called again? It's called the create individual.
Yeah, create unique landing pages.
Create unique landing pages for each keyword.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now you're
cool.
speaking like an SEO.
Unique landing
We're actually
pages.
in like this is just what I found over 10 years. I don't know if like there's other people out there that do it like exactly like this or whatever, but you know, like I just do what works for me.
So this is beautiful. Yeah, this is spot on.
And so the whole idea is you want to own a larger percentage of the internet. So the whole idea is to have
a larger percentage.
So the whole idea is you want to dominate your market organically. So you want to take every keyword that has high search volume and transactional intention, and you want to have, you know, hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pages optimized for every single keyword in the book.
Interesting. So you actually would go as far as to build way more than just 5 pages.
Oh yeah, that's why it says
you would,
et cetera, yeah.
Yeah, so we would take consciousness as one, best podcast as another, science, spirituality, nature, metaphysics,
transformational
leadership. I mean, literally
any keywords you want.
Okay, but then I literally need to make that many pieces of unique content as pages around those keywords.
But the thing
it's super worth it.
I just go
because
to I Need Articles.
anytime somebody looks up Best Consciousness Podcast, they're going to see me because I've done this process.
Yeah, or you just
And
hire
that's
a
how
writer. Like your whole goal isn't to sit there and just write 1,000,000 pages. Your whole goal is to, you know, tell the writers what you want, and then they write it, and then you overlook it, and then just post it to your website. You know, otherwise you're going to spend now until you die writing articles, and I doubt that's a good use of your time. You know, so
so hiring writers for this process is
really
good.
Go to ineedarticles.com, and it's literally like $5 or $10 an article. You won't be stressing too bad.
Interesting. ineedarticles.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's Fiverr. It's like Fiverr.
Exactly.
You'll pay $5 or $10. Someone will write an article on consciousness or whatever.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
and you can send them other articles of your competitors and say, I want you to write it something like this.
Oh, that's great.
At this level of professionalism, but make it different. You know.
That's great. So now, continue us along this journey of
because I like to keep things super simple. So basically,
specifically.
So really, the whole left side of the diagram is just creating those unique pages, and then those relevant linking domains that we link, and then as a result, the qualified and targeted traffic comes in. The whole right side of the diagram is what you do once they're on the website. So you capture their email address, as it says, right? And then you can also mix in some paid traffic and some influencer marketing and PR and all of this. And then you're just capturing their information, their email address, where you can continuously remarket to them forever without spending a dime on advertising. And so the return on investment becomes astronomically exponential. And you can use Facebook Messenger, chat, DM bots, and all this stuff, which has a way higher open rate, over 90% more than,
email.
Email, exactly.
Facebook Messenger chat bots.
And not only that, but you do SMS text message campaigns.
Actually, those are the biggest right now. Everybody's like, yo, text me. And then they're putting their phone number. That is the campaign, because they want to collect the phone numbers, which gets the highest
physical addresses. You can
rate.
send out direct mail as well. Direct mail is really cheap. There's all these different stuff that you can do once they're there, but we focus on
getting them there.
SEO. Yeah, we're not a sales agency. We're not a paid advertising agency. We are a PR agency and social media agency, but our main focus is SEO. So then that's what matters the most.
So then, in a sense, you have something like so then you have like the SEO that's acting as the funnel, and then what you get.
Yeah, from there it's up to you, whatever you want to do.
From here is then you have your get them into the SMS community, get them on the email,
physical address for direct mail,
physical address,
and
then the Facebook chat bots.
Yeah, and then also you could just go straight up direct to sale. You just take them to a landing page or checkout page and sell them whatever you're trying to sell them. You know.
Yep, direct to sale.
So you can do any of that stuff.
Interesting.
And then what you're doing is you're creating an asset.
So
that's
SEO,
perpetually generating residual income for life while you're sleeping. Because each one of these landing pages is like its own salesman. If you were to go hire some salesmen for your company right now, those salesmen have to sleep 8 hours a night. Those salesmen have to eat. Those salesmen need time off. Those salesmen, you have to pay more for them, and you have to do all this stuff. Each landing page we're creating is like a digital salesman that does not need to sleep, that does not do anything except conduct transactions 100% of the time while you're sleeping. And you wake up and there's more money in your bank account. You know, it's you auto click and then all of a sudden bank account's full. You know, not necessarily, but my friend gave me an inside joke that said that, so I kind of stuck with it. But
love that. So then the idea, like kind of like just like with our content here on the show, is that what occurs is that over time, as we build out all of these keyword pages, we funnel more and more people. And in the sense of like what we have with the show is that once we have, I think somewhere around 1,400 videos in our content library, is now those make us advertising revenue. People watch them around the world as we sleep, and you get new customers into the funnel as you sleep.
What you do is you embed the YouTube, because YouTube's owned by Google, right? So what you do is you embed the YouTube video on your landing pages, optimized for those keywords. And then when you build links to that page, since the YouTube video is embedded in that page, and you put the keyword you want to rank for in the title of the YouTube video and in the description, and you tag it with that keyword, then you're going to rank the YouTube video on the first page of YouTube as well as ranking the website. So it's like a 2-for-1 deal.
Now, would it be something then along the lines of every single one of the YouTube videos would need its own page? So that way, like Joshua Earp would have his page for piercing the veil of reality, and then we would have, when somebody searches piercing the veil of reality, that this would show up as one of the top, because there's also a page for it. I'm following, especially one of the things that I really wanted to do approximately 2+ years ago, almost 3 years ago now, when we were first starting the show, is I wanted to actually have specifically pages for each playlist topic, like biotech, neurotech, blockchain, crypto, geopolitics, EQ, spirituality, its philosophy, etc. And then whenever somebody would look up podcast philosophy, boom, we would show up. Podcast blockchain, boom, we would show up. And it would be all of our, because I filter these into playlists. So when somebody wants to find videos on blockchain, they just go to our blockchain playlist, and there's over 100 interviews there.
It sounds like you could use some SEO. I know a guy actually that doesn't. I'm just kidding.
Would he by chance be sitting across from me?
I'm just messing with you. But no, honestly, yeah. And then another little hack is when you embed that YouTube video on your website, you can change the code of the YouTube video to where it auto plays. So as soon as they land on the web page, it automatically plays the video, and then that actually gives you a view or count towards the view algorithm in YouTube, which also helps you rank in YouTube as well. Yeah. So there's another little hack you can do.
Yeah. This has been really fruitful, hopefully for a lot of people, because if we're not focusing on specifically this funnel as you described,
you're ignoring 97% of the
97%, and then
you don't want to ignore 97%.
And then this other aspect to it, I think, is super rich, which is basically that you must do this keyword analysis. And then when you find those keywords, then you make those unique landing pages for each of those keywords. Based on those keywords, based on what your business is about.
Yeah, no matter what the keyword is.
That's wow.
It's like the reason why I went into
you're
SEO,
launching people off.
Google controls the world's information, and essentially as an SEO, you control Google. And so whoever controls the world's information controls the world. So that's why I got into SEO, because I knew that if I just mastered this one skill, I knew that I could literally create an endless amount of impact. And not only that, in the real estate business, you're limited to real estate. In the cryptocurrency business, you're limited to crypto. In the art painting business, you're limited to painting. But SEO is something that transcends every industry. So I can infinitely scale exponentially and transcend every industry and make a ridiculous amount of money. Not that that's, the goal necessarily. That's just the byproduct of a job well done and purpose and everything. And then you step 1, survive. Step 2, thrive.
Okay, now my question to you is, we unpacked all of the juiciness of the SEO as much as we could on the macro star level concept. Now, where are you funneling as you gain this incredible monetary mechanism for you and also helping people thrive with their ideas in the sense. Now, what's your thrive? This was the survive.
My thrive is the passion.
Yeah.
You know, so you
But
have the profit and
yep.
then you have the passion. And some people are lucky enough to, you know, make money off their passion.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, there's other industries out there where you
What
can make
are
a lot
your
more, a lot faster.
what are your other?
My passion is music, philosophy, you know, esotericism, science, mathematics, just like you, basically. You know?
But what do you want to do with all of those passion spaces? Like,
so
what's the
my
next...
main goal, right,
Mm-hmm.
before COVID-19, right, was, you know, just become, you know, more in the entertainment industry. So an actor, of course, producer, and then music as well. You know, so I wanted to be, you know, a musician. I mean, I'm not going to say wanted to be, I am a musician, you know, but I meant just further my career. And then I started, you know, writing some songs and samples for this group called 1500 or Nothing. And they're the producers for like Justin Timberlake and Drake and Bruno Mars. And, you know, like I've worked with like Drake's manager and like I'm involved in this project with the founder of the entertainment channel. And like there's just so much stuff. I mean, I can go down the list forever, but I'm not here to, you know, harp about that. But at the macro level, like you said, it's entertainment, you know. Okay. And that's what Wyatt Earp actually did too, is he basically, the first movies were Western movies, right? And he was a consultant for the top and the biggest movie studios in the world, you know, because they needed somebody on set that knew something about the real Wild West so that they could advise and help make the movies better. So that's, ironically enough, like this is all, you know, stuff that I found out later in life. And I'm just like, holy cow, I had no idea that he was born in Illinois and moved to LA and died. And now there's this place called Earp, California. And he was an advisor to all the biggest guys in entertainment. And then I'm just looking at my life and what I'm doing. And I'm just like, holy cow, the synchronicities,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Subconscious synchronicities.
That's right.
That sounds like a good podcast name, Subconscious
synchronicities. There you go. I love it.
That's awesome.
Love it.
So it was just destiny unfolding itself, you know? And sometimes, the last thing is sometimes you have to give up the life that you've planned in order to accept the life that is waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. Would it be fair to say that your focus now is on specifically entertainment as well as SEO? So yeah, so still SEO, but entertainment and then acting, producing, music.
I would just say business, because I operate in the entrepreneurial business space.
Yes.
And I also operate in the entertainment space.
Yes.
And there's the business world.
Got it.
Then there's the entertainment world, and then there's the entertainment business world.
For sure.
Know? So there's
for sure
3 different worlds that I'm pretty much operating in.
Got it. Got it. And now it would be also fair to say that then what would you like to act or produce or music or entrepreneurship business?
You know, Disney was
going
to give me my own television show because I do magic and mentalism, and you know, I've done some, you know, I originally started out as a background actor and then I worked my way up from there, and now I'm working with the producers for like Adam Sandler, and like I said, we were on the phone before this call, you got to hear a little bit of it, and you know, he discovered him and produced his first movie and is doing all this big stuff, and he's going to put me in some other stuff, and I'm helping him with the marketing and stuff. There's ins everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
But essentially, like, Disney wanted to give me, I was acting on a show at the Disney lot, and you know, I was afterwards, we were all hanging out, and I was showing the celebrities like, you know, magic and mentalism, and it blew their mind. And then it got hold of the producers, blew their mind that there was this guy that could predict some weird event that happened when they were 6 years old they never told anyone about.
Okay, let's do it.
We got to do it at the end because that's a closer. Yeah, trust me, it's a closer.
Closer? Okay.
But no, but here's the thing though, is and you're gonna yourself is gonna be amazed. Like when you rewatch the video, you look at your own face seriously. But anyway, so check this out though. So anyway, yeah, and then, you know, basically the producers said, hey, look, we want to meet you at this coffee shop at this time, and we're going to create a TV show based on your life where you go around and show magic to all these celebrities or whatever. And I said, that sounds great. And then bam, COVID-19, baby. And then I just, it you know, kind of took me in the world by storm. And then so I decided to shift my focus and align my focus towards more on the business side. Yeah. Then I became a very heavy precious metals investor and cryptocurrency investor, which I was already doing that before, but I'm really smart, man, with my asset allocations, you know, in terms of percentages and hedging, you know, against inflation, hedging them against each other. And we can go over all that stuff maybe at a different time, but
So then, would it also be fair to say that then within the entrepreneurship entertainment space, the business entertainment space, that one of the things that you care about, which we care about so much, is that we want to create a more awakening in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, LA, we live in the belly of the beast. That's why I don't mind kicking it in the stomach every once in a while, you know. But in LA is like, you know, it's like a barbershop. You know, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, eventually you get a haircut. And so the whole thing is like, my goal is to create, you know, like you said, the awakening, right? But also, you know, inspirational messages as well.
That's
and
right.
That's what my friend Adam Sandler's producer, we're really, really into that stuff. Like if it's like a horror movie or whatever, like we just don't touch it. But if it's inspirational and uplifting, which the word inspiration comes from the word inspire, which means to breathe. So if you, right, that's respiration, inspiration, in spirit. Okay, the word spirit comes from the word spire, the respiratory system. That's why we have that there. And DMT is the spirit molecule, right? The most DMT is produced not in our pineal gland, but in our lungs during conscious breathing. And in reptiles, they have a retina, cornea, and a lens. So it literally is their pineal gland, literally is their third eye. But what I was going to say is that the word conspiracy or conspire means to come together and to breathe. And so once you understand all this stuff, you know, it becomes very inspirational, you know. So we want to breathe life into people. We want to, the moment you stop breathing, the spirit is the breath. The moment you stop breathing, you know, your spirit leaves your body. So essentially, that's what we want to do. We want to be the catalyst and spark of change, you know, that ignites the world. And the cool thing is, you know, if we have a torch, right, that's lit, we can go and light pretty much everyone's torch without diminishing our flame. That's right. What we're trying to do.
That's it.
Without the word try.
That's it. I love that analogy. That one's super rich. The torch, such a good one.
Yeah.
And specifically, I like how you say that it's both about awakening and inspiration, because awakening is like the self-realization to the unity of all being in existence, and then there's the self-actualization, which is like the inspiration for people to rocket off and identify those North Stars and actualize those gifts into the world. I love that. That's really strong. So then, okay, so I'm following now. I like this. It seems like there's a lot of synthesis yet between our essences on what both of us are aiming to catalyze here, which we will be doing more of together. Ridiculously pumped for that. Now, before we get into it sounds like you want to do the mentalism stuff at the end. So then, okay.
And by the way, just because of the cameras and angles and things like that, we may want to make sure that we capture the true essence of the mentalism. I may have to stand over here. So we may want to do that as a separate clip that we just, you know, cut into the video at the end, however you want to do it. But just realize that with cameras here, we're not going to be able to see it the right way. So
let's try it at the end.
I can do something probably with a deck of tarot cards or something with a deck of cards. I think I brought a deck of regular cards.
Oh, okay.
So I might be able to do that. But then the other thing is...
there are none that we can do without the deck of... Is there anything that we can do just...
Oh, yeah, well, of course. Well, it's not...
Okay.
The deck of cards is just a medium. Everything we're going to do is in our mind, right? But we can do it definitely without. But I'm just saying the camera angles, right? We're not going to be able to see the full effect.
I'm following. So we'll see whatever we can unfold for people at the end. And then if we... And later for round 2...
Well, if I can just face this way so you can actually see what I'm doing, then that would work.
Well, we already have this angle.
Okay, so if we can only look from this camera so that they can actually see it, then that would be effective. If we can't look from just this camera, then it's not going to work.
But what about this? What about this angle where they can see from your angle and from my reactions to what you're doing and from the center shot?
Okay, so the only way it's going to work is if it's this camera only, and then if you want to show a reaction, you just turn your head towards the camera. Or this camera only, it just can't be anything right here or there, but then they're just going to miss it.
But if they're looking right here at this top right at the shot.
If they're looking at me from the side, which one are you referring to?
I'm talking. If you look in the quad shot,
the lower right,
yeah, the quad shot,
the upper right corner is no good.
Okay, but the upper left corner is where they're going to be looking.
Fine.
Yeah, but that's where they're going to be looking. But
Okay.
that way they can see my reaction to what you're saying.
Whatever you want to do, as long
Okay.
as there's no side shot in the upper right-hand corner of that.
Oh, you don't want the
there can
two
be-
shot.
There can
Oh,
be
you
no-
don't want the two shot. You don't want
Yeah,
that
yeah.
center shot. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because well,
Okay.
the thing is because the experiment, they're not going to be able to see it. We want to make sure they can
Okay, so
get the
you
full experience.
so
of the
something like this.
Yeah, like on the quad. Yeah, if we can do that, then that's good.
Yeah, I see. So just not that. Yeah, I'm
we
following.
Need to, we
Okay.
need to turn this camera off.
We don't have to turn it off. We can just have it like.
well, the
oh.
thing is, I'm the mentalist, right?
Okay,
so we
so-
do need to turn it off.
But you mean like this, right? There you go.
Yeah, as long as like you can't rewatch
It's-
from this camera.
That it will be
Later.
off. That's right.
Okay.
It'll be off. It'll just be you.
Yes, because you
okay.
have to see it from a pure perspective,
Okay.
and because what we're doing is inside of the mind. Okay, and so the
Can we
whole
launch
thing-
into it, or do we want to save this for then? Because we're already ready for it.
Yeah,
if we
so let's
want.
go ahead and just do the mentalism. Okay?
Let's do it, yeah.
We're at the end, right? So
Well,
because we're saving it for the end. So
but we should also talk. I still want to talk. We still have some
Okay.
other things to talk
okay,
about.
so yeah, we'll do the
consciousness.
mentalism now. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, let's do it now. Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I want you to go ahead. I usually do this standing up. That's probably not possible in this situation, right? So we'll go ahead and do it like this.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is I want you to think. Sorry, I'm gonna need to use my hands and stuff, but I'll lean in. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, and we kind of do need it to be like full view. Is there any way we could take that camera and make it down a little bit so you can see my hands? Like if I'm down here, you can't see what I'm doing down here.
Yeah, I can do
So
that.
is there any
yeah,
way to do that?
1 second. Let me just zoom out of. I'll just zoom out of that shot.
Yeah, we're gonna want to zoom out quite a bit because my hands are all invisible right now. So there we go. That should be good. Perfect. Okay.
And is that okay then for?
Yeah, on the left, that's not okay because it's
What?
seeing me right here. See?
What?
Do you see where my finger's pointing? Lower left.
Yeah, but you're.
So basically, this needs to go.
No, I know they're not seeing that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, like,
Oh, I'm
so
just-
You can't rewatch and look at
No, nobody. No, you. There's
Okay.
that's not even recording. No,
Okay.
nothing. It's only the
You'll
program.
see why I'm saying this in a second.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause, like,
Only
otherwise, you're gonna miss it. So.
the only thing is that program feed, which is in the bottom right corner. So
Okay.
that's not even recording.
Okay,
the
cool.
yeah that
So
yeah.
So we're gonna do the
Mhm.
mentalism experiment now. In order for you to witness the mentalism, we have to. I'm gonna do two things. Okay, one will be with either a deck of tarot cards or a deck of regular cards. It doesn't matter. It has to be a medium, right? The second one's gonna be pure, and it's all in the mind, but it's purely gonna be in the mind. Okay, so the first one. Okay, so what I want you to do, I think I've got a deck of cards. Let me see really quickly. Okay, now I do. I want you to hold on to it. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Should I zoom?
unfortunately,
should I zoom out of my shot too? Or?
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay.
So the whole thing is mentalism is an ancient occult science. Okay, it's a divinatory science. It's of divination, right? I usually use tarot cards. I didn't have any laying around, so I brought those. But I made a prediction. Okay, so I took one card and I turned it face down in the middle of the deck. Okay, and I basically just made a prediction. That's all I did. It's kind of like the
Interesting.
Lord of the Rings. There can be only one, right?
Okay.
Now, the oldest transmitting and receiving station is not the radio or the television. It's the human mind.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of the card that I turned down, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transmit it to you mentally. Okay.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is you're going to start to see a card that appears in your mind,
Okay.
and not the Ace of Spades or anything anything obvious like that. It's going to be random, okay? Did you pick
Mhm.
up on it?
I think I did.
Okay. So what was the card that you were thinking?
The 4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds. Now, let's see the cards.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna have you do?
There's one card.
There's one
you
card
said.
face down. Yeah, go ahead and hold the card or the deck.
Okay.
So like I said, every single card is face up, except for
Oh,
one
come into
card.
the shot. Come into the shot.
Oh,
so they
sorry.
Can see.
Yeah. Either way, go ahead and take that card out and tell me which one it was. That's why I was telling you to zoom out and show them what was it. It was the 4 of diamonds. Thank you. You can put it back. And so now you might be thinking, okay, well that was I'll take this back too if you don't mind. Now you might be thinking, okay, well that was a 1 in 52 chance, right? So
well, I'm thinking some other stuff, but
what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that there was a perfect amount of time for me to look over to make sure that the cards were in the shot when they were actually under.
Yeah, that's why I told you to zoom out from the
shot.
beginning. So it is what it is. But the next one will be without a deck of cards.
Okay.
So I just do this to warm up. Okay. So the whole thing is that's a 1 in a 52 chance, right? So it's like, it's amazing, but it's not like, godly amazing, right? Correct? 1 in 52.
Well,
I mean, I can do a review and we'll see if you get it
well,
right.
it's also curious if when it happens with somebody live where there's not needing to stay in the actual angle of the shot, because you can also hear what sounds like the card flipping over and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just like, this is the whole mentalism thing.
Let's do it one more time within the shot, okay? So I'll turn a different card face down, which I actually already did. Go ahead and hold the cards.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah, I already did it. Trust me.
You already did it?
Yes, trust me. Okay? I know it might be hard for you to do it, but just do it. Okay? So this time within the shot. Okay?
What?
But listen, though, it's only because I might have turned 2 face down. Because I had an idea I was going to do another card. Now this time, what I want you to do is I'm going to send the card to you again, okay?
Okay.
So, and I want you to really watch my hands when I do this, okay? So look. Boom. What is the card?
It's the 9 of Hearts.
Now, do you want to keep the 9 of Hearts or change it?
I want to keep it.
Okay, 9 of Hearts.
Okay,
now,
so let's make sure it stays in the shot. Yeah, I see it's in the shot.
Okay.
That top left. All right.
I'll do it like this.
You're still in the shot.
Here, go ahead.
Okay, you're still in the shot.
So the 9 of Hearts, right?
Uh-huh.
So inside the shot, look, every single card is face up except for one card.
Yeah.
What card do you think that is? Go ahead and pull it up.
Boom.
That's the 9 of Hearts. You can put it back.
And I'm just curious, that was profound.
That's the only one face up. Go ahead.
And I'm just curious, there's the 3 of diamonds.
Go ahead and put it back.
That was very cool.
So I'll turn that card over again just in case someone else says 3 of Hearts. Now, once again,
9 of Hearts, yeah,
or whatever it was. Yeah. See, I don't even know, but it works every time. Even I don't know. Okay.
That was really interesting because it did happen. Yeah, that one was more clear to me because that first one I was checking to see if it was in the shot or not, and it wasn't.
Yeah, this is not
this last
tomfoolery, like sleight of hand or anything. Okay, this is like just as real as you can get. Rewatch the one that is in the shot, and you'll see exactly that it's real. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's 1 in a 52 chance, okay, which is amazing, but once again, it's not god awfully amazing. Now we're not going to use any cards at all, and instead of a 1 in 52 chance, we're going to do a 1 in infinity chance, okay? So what I want you to do is now, you saw how I transmitted the thought to you, and you picked up on it, right?
Now, may I ask a question? Was that a continuous energetic repetition of said card, 9 of Hearts? He's going to pick the 9 of Hearts, and 9 of Hearts has been transmitted to you, and then
it's just mentalism. It's an ancient occultic divinatory science, so it's divination, and energy does play a role, but also it is what it is.
You're not going to reveal that there was a process of you transmitting the 9 of Hearts.
It might have been neuro-linguistic programming. I might have subconsciously influenced you. There's a lot of possibilities, right?
Okay. I must say, it's pretty cool.
For sure. Well, that's nothing.
And that's sort of what the David Blaine style schools of thinking are. Yeah.
So
they make people really excited. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Okay. So now, like I said, we're not going to do any deck of cards. Okay. I just did that as a warm up to show you what's possible. Okay. Now
so now it's a 1 in an infinity chance. I heard you.
Only
from 1 in 52 to 1 in infinity chance. This is going to be right.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So you saw how I, the transmission reception. I transmitted it to you and you received it, correct? Now we're going to
It was kind of interesting. It was like almost like it like kind of in a sense like out of the 52
it's all your own thought.
It's interesting, out of the 1 in out of the 52 and 52, it out of the 52 options, it felt like as you were coming to the point where you were going to snap, it like kind of funneled down to maybe 4, and then it funneled down to 2, and then it funneled down to that last one.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting that process happens. Yeah.
So here's the crazy part. So Nostradamus would always, write something down and it would always come true, correct? Well, I'm kind of like a modern day Nostradamus, okay? So you saw how I transmitted to you the thought of the playing card, right? Now this time, you're going to think of a number between 1 and infinity. Okay, in your mind.
Okay.
Don't make it too anything ridiculous. Like I had one guy say, 1,964,000. I mean, when I read
what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, when I read, you can do it, but I'm just saying, like, I did the founder of Ethereum, read his mind, and he said 2 to the 256 power, and he was just amazed that I knew that information. He's just like, how the hell did you understand that? So it can be something incredibly complex, but also simple can be harder than complex. What I'm saying is just don't. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to make my prediction. I'm just saying don't make me write too much. Pick any number, whatever you want to pick, but it's just don't make it like. You can make it as ridiculous as you want, but even if it's just the number 1, are you kidding me? 1 in infinity? What are the odds of that? Okay. What is that face?
I can tell that there's that mentalism that's happening. It's like, don't pick 7 trillion. You can pick something that's like 7 because that it can
anything you want.
I can tell though there's
really nothing
there's that secret sauce
I
of
want
like
you to blank. Have your mind blank. There is no secret sauce on this one.
I'm just saying it's something that I've picked up from watching other mentalists over time. Is that they do this process that.
Some other mentalist effect, like you'll see what I mean.
I mean, you guys are honing on a similar skill. David Blaine, Lior Suchard, Joshua Earp. You're honing on a similar skill.
I studied under the best mentalists in the world, Banachek, Richard Osterland, all the greatest, and then I ended up surpassing them actually because I've just, that's the way a student should be. Right?
Okay, all right, let's do this.
So here's the thing.
Any number from 1 to infinity.
Pretend I never said anything at all, okay?
Sure.
Blank slate. We just met. Okay. How are you doing? Hi, how are you? Think of a number between 1 and infinity. Seriously, I don't want you to think. I'm just giving you other examples. Don't let me influence you in any way. Okay? Do you have the number in your mind?
Let's see here. Yeah, got it.
See, what you're doing right there is you're displaying rapid eye movement, which means you're hypnotized right now.
Okay.
In fact, REM, rapid eye movement, is when the brain releases the most DMT. That's the number 1 way you can tell if someone's hypnotized is because they demonstrate REM. So right now, and all hypnosis is the moment that you become 100% absorbed into something. Whenever someone's talking, whenever something's, you're listening to something.
You got me to do the number from 1 to infinity, and during that time, you could see REM happening.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway,
which you can if you look at your partner sleeping or your parents sleeping, you can kind of begin seeing that under their eyelid. Exactly. It's cool.
So what I'm going to do is just like Nostradamus.
Okay.
I'm going to write down a prediction, okay? And I usually have a like a notebook, or I'll usually.
Oh, you want to put it on this?
No, it's okay. I think I brought something that's easier to write on, just more handheld. This
I
is
love it.
My dream
The
journal.
brother's got a notebook and a Sharpie along with his deck of cards.
On deck.
On deck, yeah. On deck. He brought it
That's
with
when
him.
you know you're dealing with a real mentalist.
With a real mentalist, that's right.
They come prepared,
Yeah, exactly.
So what I want you to do is you're thinking of that specific number.
Okay.
Now I'm going to make a prediction, okay? I'm not going to choose some crazy, long one. I'm just going to make
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Do you have to look at my eyes?
Not really, because I can already, it's the vibration. So
Okay.
just go along with it, all right? Anybody can resist anything. Just go along with it. It takes more intellect to go along with something. All right, so here we go. So I made my prediction.
I'm
go ahead and hold the
surrendered.
pen, if you don't mind.
Hold the...
Just hold it. I mean, unless you have a table. But
Yeah, okay.
now what I want you to do is I made my prediction. I apologize. I write literally like a freaking doctor, so I apologize. Now, what I want you to do is play the role of the alchemist. Okay? Just let it go. Don't fidget with it. All right? Now, look. What I want you to do is play the role of the alchemist. Okay?
Just hold it. Don't
It's not
fidget.
going anywhere. Don't
Play
worry.
the role of the alchemist. Okay.
Instead of transmuting, base metals into gold or the human soul to a divine soul, I want you to transmute it from the mental to the physical. So now that I've already made my prediction, I want you to let everyone know, including my partner Naeem in the back and everyone watching, what was the number you were thinking of. It doesn't even matter at this point.
But it does matter because we need to see it on that sheet of paper, though.
See, that's why I said go along with it. You're not listening to the instructions. You're supposed to. You're ruining the vibration. You're supposed to name. You're supposed to play the role of the alchemist and name the number. If you can't name the number, we won't do it. It's fine.
Okay.
But you're supposed to. I made my prediction. I want you to go.
You
ahead and name
made
it
the
out.
prediction?
Did you not see me writing? Okay.
Okay.
You're asking too many questions. The next thing coming out of your mouth better be a number, or we're not doing it.
Okay. All right.
What is it?
Okay. The number
That's
is...
called a heckler, by the way, when you're dealing with someone that's
Well,
difficult.
no, it's just trying to prove the,
The proof will be in the pudding. So what is
Okay,
the...
Sure. Okay.
You have to play the role of the
Okay,
alchemist
okay,
first. Schrodinger's
okay,
cat, quantum
okay,
mechanics.
okay.
What's the number?
The number is 79 trillion.
So you put 79 trillion.
888 billion
888 billion?
and 4.
Are you serious?
That's the number I picked, yeah.
And then in 4. Now, is there a reason why you chose 4 or?
At the end of it?
Yeah.
Well, because I wanted to have at least one more number that was non-zero.
So I told you don't pick the most ridiculous one, but you picked the most ridiculous one. Right? Now, what's crazy is, so look, check this out. Like I said, my handwriting is horrible, but if we turn it around, go ahead and check this out. I'll take the pen back if you don't mind.
Okay.
Check it out. You can see. Look, 79. Read it again out loud so they can see it. I know it's horrible handwriting. Since I was a little kid, I've had bad handwriting. But read it. What does it say? 79 trill.
There's a 7 and a 9. It does appear like there's a 7 and a 9.
And then trill, which is horrible handwriting. And then what's underneath trill on the next line under? So I can actually show.
And then there's 3 8s. I can see it. I can see there's 3 8s. I can see that. 8, 8, 8.
Wait, let's see.
And it looks like Bill. It does look like the word Bill right here.
B-I-L. And then what? 4, but the thing wasn't really that long.
7. It looks like 7, 9. It could be a 2 though. It's still really impressive that it got to this level. And it looks like there could be a 4 here.
Look, what was it that you said? Okay, 7, 9. Okay, that is irrefutable. 7, 9, Bill, B-I-L.
I do see that.
Okay.
Yep.
8, 8, 8. Okay.
Bill.
Okay, Bill.
Yep.
And
4.
But I didn't go down as far.
I see,
because
yeah.
just wrote it quickly.
Yep. That's really impressive.
And so
That is
so
very.
what you
That's
have to
very
think of-
impressive.
I mean, it's not like you just said 4 and then like this is
Yeah.
the closest that you can get to actually what you said.
Yeah. Sit.
Possibly.
Take sit.
Oh,
Take sit. Yeah.
I'm usually standing up when I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
So
That's really impressive, Joshua. That's really
I
impressive.
just went out on a limb, I just picked a random number
Okay,
ahead of time.
that's really impressive.
But when you think about the
Yeah.
mathematical, because I'm a
Sure.
numbers guy, right?
That's a 1 in infinity.
So when you
That's-
think
that's
about the
definitely-
mathematical
that's closer.
statistical
Yeah.
probability,
That's closer to that for sure.
okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not. It definitely doesn't say that it's
Now-
not 79
Now,
trillion.
Yeah.
888. I mean, the
there-
3 8s
there's
alone.
some
Bill.
hermeneutics in it, interpretation, but it's pretty damn close.
It's irrefutable.
It's pretty damn close. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's super duper impressive. So would it be fair to say something like there's a level of...
It's just the Akashic records.
So would you say that there's some sort of level of... I mean, is it okay to turn the center shot back?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure you guys can see everything, because if not, then it's defeats the purpose.
Okay, so we turn the
You can
center
zoom
shot
that
back
one
on.
in
I'll
too,
zoom
if you want.
back in on you.
Yeah, so it's, and this is the same thing Albert Einstein tapped into with his universal thought experiments. It's kind of like the Akashic records in a sense of the universal thought library of everything that ever was, is, or ever will be. I, pulled it from the ether, essentially, and I went out on a limb. I didn't want to write all the actual numbers, so I spelled a few out. 79 trillion, 888 billion, and 4. And I'll even, in fact, let's do this too. I want to give you this piece of paper.
It's funny because I literally just had that thought.
I want you to read it.
4 seconds ago, I was
check
like,
this
it
out.
would be fun to potentially have that sheet of paper to
No,
remind me.
seriously.
And then Joshua goes, I'll give you the sheet of paper.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, bro.
I know.
We're all connected more than we think we are. And so,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I said before, do not sleep on this. The oldest receiving and transmitting station is not the radio or the television. It is the human mind. And the more people can understand this and access different parts of their mind, then they will be able to be more fully equipped to do
Yeah.
whatever it is they're trying to do.
You use the word Akashic a moment ago, and I had a question lined up for you that was around that. It would be something along the lines of,
I knew you were gonna pick something like that too. I like before you ever said anything, I was like, okay, he's definitely not gonna say 4, but I think there's gonna be a 4 in there. So I was like, okay, 4. He's gonna say the most random shit because I mentioned trillion earlier. So I was like, fuck, I gave him an idea. I don't want to. I was like, so I gotta write 79 trill. 888 bill, which is irrefutable. Go ahead and dissect that later on if you want.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
It's there, bro.
Those are pretty clear. It is
indistinguishable. I mean, like, obviously, yes, I have horrible handwriting. I've had that since I was a kid. That's not going to ever change. But the fact is, it's you definitely think of any other number in the world and tell me if it looks like that, and you'll say no.
Yeah,
Like
so
if you just said 64, like that's obviously not 64.
For sure. For sure. Okay, let's play with this a little bit more. So, would it be fair to say something along the lines of there's a sensitivity that enables a tapping in that can take something like asking somebody to come up with a number from 1 to infinity, and that then enables you to process what that mind comes up with.
It's the thing is
channel it through to the pen and the paper.
It's just mentalism, It's existed for thousands and thousands of years, It's called divination. It's what all these elite politicians and all these motherfuckers, pardon my French, it's what they're doing. They're practicing divination. They have crystal balls. They're scrying into reflective surfaces. They're utilizing this phenomenon from the other.
Give you props, my man.
Some people
good.
Some people just use a higher percentage of their brain than other people.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make them smarter or better. Or anything.
There's probably some sort of a tapping into that universal field, and
that's what Nikola Tesla did. That's why he was a genius.
And just calling that through what that person comes up with as that number down in. Yeah. And I mean, there were some seeds planted, but yeah.
I mean, that definitely wasn't that seed, though. I'll tell you that.
I mean, it was pretty interesting. I definitely wanted to.
1 in infinity. Just do the math.
I definitely wanted to. Yeah. It's true. Okay. Let's. I'm really grateful that you did several mentalism experiences for me on the show and for the guests and to the audience. That was very brave, and I'm really grateful that you did because it's a live stream.
It doesn't always work,
It doesn't always work. That's another.
I mean, the thing is, there's been plenty of times when I was wrong. It's just.
Yeah. Me too. And it's funny. We had Rupert Sheldrake on the show recently, and he's doing a lot of incredible work and trying to prove this stuff.
What is he responsible for? The
morphic resonance.
Resonance field.
Yeah.
Or the morphonic field or something, right?
Yeah. Morphic resonance is, in a sense, what we're explaining here with mentalism, in a sense. And so we're currently also trying to help him fund these studies through the Rich Patrons site. And as we unlock ultra high net worth families and individuals to funnel funds into things like his joint. I
can help with that.
We would love that. That'd be a good one.
I have a
Rupert
friend Rupert
would love that. Rupert would love that as well. And there's several studies. He's got a telephone telepathy study and a joint attention study. And then I'm also trying to help him we should help him build this. We came up with this idea while we were in conversation on the show with Rupert, which is to actually get millennials, Gen Z, and Generation Alpha involved in the type of stuff we're talking about regarding that universal field through mobile games. So as in this, how could it be that in this case, what we were talking about with Rupert, if we had the same puzzle that I was playing here in the United States and that somebody else played right after I finished, no communication, none, zero communication, and people were inside of those boxes. No communication is allowed. I can't use the device to do anything after I do the puzzle, and I'm being supervised. They're being supervised. And what you do is you have basically 1,000 people across the planet go one after the other in terms of speed of finishing the puzzle that are approximately the same level of IQ.
Yeah, which is a faulty metric at best.
At best, we're trying to do something at best. So
Exactly.
so we have 1,000 people that are around in the center of the bell curve of IQ.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of merit in what you guys are doing.
And so that's a good one to test, because if it takes me 60 seconds to finish the puzzle, and then it takes the last person in Australia or South Africa or Thailand or wherever they are across the planet, if it only takes them 20 seconds to finish the puzzle, and there's a very steady decrease in the speed, and there's 1,000 people that are also watching the 1,000 people that are doing it to ensure, right, that there's no communication, and so now we're talking about some literally planetary field. Right, we're talking about that mind field, that universal field,
like scalar
that
light,
Akashic,
or energy.
that scalar light, that energy.
Speaking of which,
so anyway,
we're the biggest scalar light
let's
energy.
do this. I'm just saying, let's do that one.
I have a friend that specifically that's all he does is influence these highly influential families. Let's just call it that, and extremely
let's do it.
What is it called? Yeah, I mean that's all he does. So I can definitely connect you with him, like generational wealth type families.
We will, and
so
I think you were about to dive into this, right? Bioresonance
therapy.
I
was
is that
going
where
to say
you're going?
one thing too is because that ties in with the morphogenetic field, or that's what it's called, right? Morphogenetic.
Yeah, morphogenetic
I'm
fields,
still a beginner with
morphogenetic
his work,
resonance, morphic fields. Yeah, there's
So Nikola Tesla, we have access to a miniature Tesla coil that's also combined with, the work of Galen Hieronymus, which is, the radionics individual. And we've created a device that emanates scalar light or scalar energy at a reverse phase harmonic of whatever vibration is wrong with your body, whether it be, all these incurable diseases and all this other stuff. It's pretty interesting, the work that we're doing there. But it's kind of like bioresonance therapy, where everything in nature has a frequency that either helps it or destroys it, right? And so the whole thing is with bioresonance therapy, which is a little different than what I'm talking about, but similar concepts, is it basically reverse engineers the frequency that is, emanated from your body, whether it be cancer or a virus or bacteria or a pathogen. And it simply takes that frequency through the machine, determines what frequency it is, and then it inverts that frequency and then pushes it back into the body.
Okay, so there's a pathology that's developing inside of the body, and it's at a certain vibratory frequency.
Everything is.
It's detected, and then
it's reverse engineered. They backtrack the frequency and invert it.
It is
through a
inversed.
reverse phase harmonic. Yeah.
Through a reverse phase harmonic,
Yes.
and then it's sent back into the body
Into
at
the
that
body.
same location,
Yes.
and then the tumor reverses.
Yeah,
is the idea,
essentially.
or the pathology reverses.
Yeah,
okay.
bacteria, pathogen, or virus, whatever the case is.
Sure.
Candida, cancer.
Okay, so then there's this
So-
emergent field of using
It's quantum biotechnology.
quantum biotech. I love it.
It's through quantum entanglement. It's the
love
same way
it.
one cell phone can communicate to another cell phone. We can remotely send scalar light energy to anywhere in the world through the use of a photograph. Because in the quantum world, you don't exist. So before we get into that, let's back up a little bit, because some people were like, wait a second, you rewrote neuroscience with the founder of the God particle, and then I just did this crazy thing where I read your mind and all this stuff. So how is all this stuff related? How does it work? Well, so Dr. Katsushi Arasaka, who created the Large Hadron Collider for CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, he created all 7, even the small handheld ones, all to the way to the biggest ones, in CERN. He runs the largest direct detection of dark matter experiments, such as xenon and dark side, out of a laboratory in Sasso, Italy, which is the most expensive thing you can get on this planet. And also, he and I, which was mostly him, I was just cited on the paper due to my incredibly deep insight in neocortical phase integration. But he basically, I can't take all the credit, it's mostly him. What he did is he basically has this machine, this technology that can track your microsaccadic eye movement. So basically, if I were to read a book, right? So check this out, seriously. If I were to read a book, okay, and my head could stay still, but my eyes are moving left to right, right? That's called a saccade, okay? So this machine tracks the microsaccadic eye movement, okay, and combined with the corollary discharge between the central pattern generators of the information processing between the eyes and the brain.
Okay.
And we found that there's a couple milliseconds of a delay between the information processing of the outside world and the internal world.
Okay.
And so what he discovered, once again, I was just cited for my incredibly deep insight in neocortical phase integration. What he discovered is that it's the excitation before the inhibition. And so what that means is that it's not our eyes that see what's around us. Your average person would think that we're just sitting in a room and we're talking to each other and that's it, right? But in reality, right?
So this plays into that mentalism a lot.
Yes, it does play into a lot.
Yeah.
But listen, you're going to really jive with this, I really think. Because you're one of the few that are smart enough to really understand this, And of course, you're a wonderful audience and guests and everything.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. So we found a couple millisecond of delay between the information processing of the brain and the eyes, okay? So that literally proved to us that it's the excitation before the inhibition. What that means is that it's not our eyes that see what's around us and then broadcast that message to our brain. It's our brain that begins with the image first, and then our eyes broadcast outwards what's already inside of us. And this explains manifestation, counterfactual simulation, etc., etc. And so it ties in also with the ancient Hermetic principles of as within, so without, as above, so below. And so it goes all the way back to ancient Hermeticism.
Totally. Another reason why it's so deeply resonant is because there's been a tremendous amount of neuroscientists that have been trying to understand more and more whether perception, and even philosophers and spiritualists in the last thousands of years, like you were just describing a moment ago, whether perception can't work in a sort of binary way. Nothing sort of works in that style of a binary way. It's all a mix. So it can't possibly just be such a binary statement that I take in the sensory data and that's the way that it works. No, I literally have these a priori representations of the way that reality is that then mixes with the perceptual intakes.
Yes.
And that works in a dynamic feedback process.
Feedback loop, yeah.
That then works with my North Star, which is why we have that style.
Which ties in with solipsism, which is the idea that anything outside of one's own mind is not sure to exist. That's why we are the creative expression of the universe experiencing itself. Now, as I said earlier, the U, Y-O-U, in verse, but also the word verse is in there as well. We are in space verse, meaning music, meaning sound, meaning vibrations. Even Pythagoras would claim that even the heavens and the planetary, stars and etc. above had their own orchestral type of sound. So it's all frequency, number, and vibration.
I would make the argument that, as William T. Powers said, that perception is absolutely fundamental to reality. And so the way that you take, we've mentioned this throughout the show several times, your concepts, the way that you form your lattice work, is absolutely crucial, so that where you have your star located and you have your fluid process around how you're going to obtain it, but that you also have that style of future authoring, that intent, and that lattice work of concepts, where if you don't have a lattice work, what happens is that there's this less likelihood for the person to be able to move as an agent through the world with sovereignty and with conceptual schemas that enable them to actually maximize their own flourishing and the flourishing of others. And so I've noticed that that's a big key. It happened to me in 2020 that I put together high-level perception, which ended up being a very powerful lattice work for me that moving forward enables me to funnel profound insights into some sort of a further developmental augmentation of this North Star trajectory lattice work that exists. Without that, but you can't allow the lattice work to grip you like the default mode network obsessively, compulsively, never microdosing to let go, so all of those profound new connections can happen, because your lattice work can augment over time.
100%.
That type of stuff.
I agree.
I love that. That's a really good synthesis of those last couple points. I like that a lot. And there's a lot. One more time on the field. It's like a quantum biotechnology is the field for healing.
You know, if you look at Kirlian photography, right, and you take a picture of the hand, then you'll see the energetic field around the hand, which I believe, I could be wrong, I'm not familiar with Mr. Sheldrake's work, but I believe it could be something similar to what he's discussing. Some people call it an aura, which is, you know, AURA. What's AU? You know, that's gold in this scientific periodic table of elements.
And what's Ra? God.
Yeah, exactly. Ra. Amen. When you say amen at the end of a prayer, it's amen or amen Ra, the sun god, you know? And, but anyway, if you look at Kirlian photography, right? And you just, you know, you can even pull up a picture if you want or whatever. But essentially, if you take it of the hand, you'll see it glowing throughout the hand. So just type in Kirlian photography, Kirlian photography, and go to images, and it should be there. See the hand right there on the left? That one works too. But anyway, so it's basically proving that, yes, we do have this energy body. You can also take Kirlian photography of fruit, and you'll see that it also has everything has an energy field, okay?
Absolutely.
And so the whole thing is that what we're able to do is, in the quantum world, you don't exist. Your body's comprised of photons, which is light, and light is information, and information is consciousness, correct? So when you take
let's walk through that breakdown again of yours. It's a very metaphysical one. It's important. It's probably important enough to even write down the breakdown again.
Yeah.
Okay. So one more time, we have.
So in the quantum world, you don't exist. Your body is comprised of photons.
Okay. So one is photons. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Number one is photons.
Okay.
And photons are light.
Okay. Which equals light. Yep. Okay.
And light equals information.
Okay.
And information is consciousness. See, that's what I love about you. You pick up on the important parts. You didn't let me breeze through that one. Because this is very important. That's why in Freemasonry, you know, it's a search after light. It's a search after information. It's a search after consciousness. So this is, by the way, this is the esoteric, line of thought, by the way. So you're not going to be seeing this in any, school textbooks or anything. Interesting. But anyway, so just hear me out, because that is a good, important part, but it goes much deeper. Okay?
And for those that are listening only on audio, 1, photons equal light. 2, light equals information. 3, information equals consciousness.
And then it's very cyclical.
And it's cyclical. So let's explore this a little bit. So we have a
100%.
Yeah,
wow.
which is good. I mean, it's really good with this at the same time, definitely. Okay, so we have a very quantum mechanical unit of photon. We have that compromising of light, and we have light compromising of information. So when we think of things like what Chris Langan calls the infocognitive universe, that information is consciousness.
Yes.
So that we are consciousness. Consciousness is exploring infinity as our metaphysic, an unbounded map a phenomenological experience. And so that consciousness being informational is that we are eternally exploring information, and that we see that in this holographic space-time reality that appears to be quantum mechanical. It appears to have space-time. It appears to have natural selection, but those are appearances which you, as you say, will break down.
Everything's from within.
In a moment. Everything's from within.
Yeah,
so it's a very metaphysical idealist perspective of like all is mind, like Bernardo Kastrup would say. That is your fundamental metaphysic, is all is mind. All is consciousness. All is information. Exploring infinity eternally. Yeah. I love that, and I would also like to just say that for all of the people that are physicalists or that are trying to find a synthesis between physicalism and consciousness, I would just say that this is not to say physicalism is not part of this equation. It's to say that it is part of this equation. Consciousness needs these realities in order for it to actually undergo the process of exploring the infinite possibility space of information, of phenomenology.
That's why people can have miraculous healing of the body through the power of their own mind. Every time you think a negative thought, your body creates a stress hormone that it's been physiologically proven to mutate DNA.
Yes.
So if thoughts can make us sick, then it's very possible they can make us well. Now, just let me, because I know we might be getting kind of close on time or whatever, but one thing I was going to say, though, is, so by looking at the Kirlian photography and recognizing there really is this energetic, field around us, so like I said, in the quantum world, you do not exist. Your body comprises of photons, okay? And whenever you take a photograph of your photonic body, okay? This is why they say gypsies never want you to take photographs with them, because it captures their soul essence, etc. But when you take a photograph in broad daylight, okay, of your body or your face, which is your bioenergetic photonic light signature, think of it as your own IP address, right? What we're able to do is take that photograph all the way from across the world, similar to remote Reiki healing, as well, that you can do that, which Ra is of the sun, right? Ki is gi or chi or energy, right? So it's the sun energy, etc. But scalar energy, when Nikola Tesla understood and discovered scalar energy, he was quoted by saying he knew that he found one of the rare secrets of the universe, because it's non-electromagnetic in nature, where a radio wave, etc., is all electromagnetic in nature. So that means the
scalar energy.
The farther that you go out from a signal of a radio signal, it's going to fade over time because it's electromagnetic. Scalar energy, which I'm going to get to in a second, is non-electromagnetic in nature. So that means we can send this energy remotely, pretty much to wherever you are in the world.
Okay, and that's the whole notion of what we're uncovering with quantum entanglement.
Yes, so this works through quantum entanglement. So that's why, like telephone telepathy, that's why, your ears you'll start thinking of someone, and the next thing you know, they're calling you. Just like the paper. You were thinking, man, I'd really like to have that piece of paper. And I said, hey, would you like to, same thing with the number and everything. It's all telepathy, right? Extrasensory perception is what it is. Now, let me just go through, because I know there'll be a million talking points in between, but let me just finish the whole thing, and then we'll recap.
Especially scalar energy.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now.
Good. Okay.
So it's the same type of energy that, emanated from Wardenclyffe and Tesla's towers. We're actually connected to Desanka Mandik, through a friend of ours, and she's Nikola Tesla's granddaughter. And so anyway, long story short, we have this miniaturized Tesla coil.
Were you the one that sent me the data? It may have been you. I'm not sure anymore. It may have been over a month ago while I was finishing the synthesis, but there was data around the using light and seeing light at that quantum mechanical level, and the way that it affects biology, and specifically the way that DNA interacts with that.
That was not me, but it backs up what I'm about to say.
I love this point.
So once again, let me finish the whole thing, before we talk about the other things.
Point.
Okay, so let me just finish the whole thing, or else we'll never finish it.
It speaks really deeply to that reality creation
Exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, and this is all verifiable with polymerase chain reaction tests, which we'll get to in a second. But what we're able to do is fire up the miniature Tesla coil, okay, combined with a radionics machine, which is, T. Galen Hieronymus, which his wonderful work there, right? And that ties in with bioresonance therapy and biomagnetic therapy, which we'll cover in a little bit, and biodynamic craniosacral therapy. There's so many of them, but
this is all round 2 stuff. We have so much to talk about. Continue.
Yeah, we really do. So anyway, long story short, so that picture of your face, right, because you're comprised of photons, and that's your IP address. And just how one cell phone can communicate to another cell phone wirelessly, right? Just how a satellite works or how a radio signal works, except it's non-electromagnetic in nature, we can send this energy to your photograph. I shit you not. And what you'll see, and it'd be one thing like if we were just saying this, but we can actually verify this with PCR tests. We'll show you that in a second, and not the faulty, coronavirus PCR tests or whatever. But what it does is it emanates the scalar energy going to your photograph, which is your IP address. It can locate you anywhere you are in the world. I shit you not. And what it does is whatever vibration, whatever pathogen, virus, or bacteria is in the body, it literally does a reverse phase harmonic. So if the harmonic was 4, let's say it was vibrating at a frequency of 4, say you had cancer or whatever it was, right? Okay. Then what we do is the reverse phase harmonic would be 2 in that case, right? So whatever frequency is wrong with your body, bacteria, pathogen, virus, we invert the frequency at a reverse phase harmonic and send it to the photograph where it affects your bioenergetic photonic light signature known as your aura or your morphogenetic field or your energy body, as they call it, okay? Because everything is energy. And so what happens is it creates an environment that it literally destroys the molecular bonds of whatever virus, bacteria, pathogen, or whatever you have wrong with you. So it creates an environment where it cannot live. And then you just drink a bunch of water, and what it does is it takes those viral proteins or whatever essentially, and it flushes it out of your body. The only thing when you're doing this, you have to drink a lot of water. And then what you do is, say you had like some incurable disease or whatever it was that was, you go and get one of the most advanced blood tests you can possibly get, a polymerase chain reaction test. You have to go to a special doctor to get the real one, and you will see that you are completely, it basically makes it an environment where it cannot exist,
Beautiful. Who's currently doing the bioresonance therapies that
there's places in LA that are doing bioresonance therapy, but
and
that's
this is
different
the
than scalar light. Okay, that's different. It works in a similar fashion, but there's also biomagnetic therapy, which uses the polarity of very strong magnets to alkalize the body. So there's bioresonance therapy, and there's biomagnetic therapy, and then there's scalar light energy, which is also called scalar energy. It's also called prana in the Hindu and Indian cultures. It's also called 0 point energy. It's also called the sun or star energy.
Okay.
Same thing as like Reiki
scalar
and remote,
light energy.
just how remote distance Reiki healing works. It's the same similar type of thing, except just a little bit more high tech. And no, it's not a miracle. It's simply science.
Would it be, it's really important to target as flags beyond the edge of what is known and then work our way there with these hypotheses and actually do the scientific method in these specific, more eccentric or esoteric fields and push the edge. Super duper important. And it's extremely funded right now. Yeah. Because there's a lot of incentives in the way of the existing perverse protocols that are not about that. They're about the existing incumbent infrastructures where there's profit motives. So we have to shatter those.
The medical-industrial complex.
The
word pharmacy comes from the Greek word pharmakai, which means witchcraft and sorcery. If you go look that up in a Greek dictionary or even look at it online. And so, unfortunately, there's no money to be made off healthy humans. And so that's why this type of technology, including Nikola Tesla's technology,
I definitely don't agree with that. There's a lot of
mind.
There's a lot of money to be made off healthy humans. You should see the amount of wealthy people that really love, and even people that are of my sort of much lower level wealth that love the idea of how can I get a biometric scan out of my existing states of where I have slow pathology developing, and how can I tweak that like a car.
What I meant to say is
so there's a lot of money to be made.
Well, what I'm saying is in their mind
that up to the cloud.
So all I'm saying is that in their mind, there's more money to be made off the treatment rather than the cure.
There you go. That's the proper way to say it. Thank you for clarifying. I agree with that. So there's obviously a lot that was right there that we're going to, I think, table for round 2, which is going to be crazy interesting. This has already been ridiculously fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And like you said, like, man, it is so damn important to get these main concepts into the sphere of YouTubes and the internet, into more people's psyche, because, you know, that's the crucial thing. The one thing that I keep repeating on this show that I don't see other shows doing is that those ones that I listed earlier, we need more the interviewer or another artist that's a polymath, or however we want to do this, but we need to live be capturing the most profound insights from the program. And not only the ones around consciousness like we did here, but we have these awesome ones around SEO that we did a little bit ago.
Oh yeah.
And they were really, really, really insightful. And we,
oh my God, yeah. I mean,
they help break it down.
Yeah, and
the people's businesses and simplicity.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do.
Achieving their goals.
SEO can help you, you know, if you want more exposure.
So we have to begin doing this on a more consistent basis. And so I would just urge the most popular podcast networks and just flood them more and more with these ideas of capturing the salient points as we undergo dialectic.
Non-Hegelian, by the way, dialectic, right?
Yeah.
We'll get into that later in polytricks.
There's so much. Okay, let's do the last thing here, which is that I want you to unpack what you were talking about when we first sat down, where you began kind of listing off some of the things. We talked about this off the show as well. You have some thoughts around, I was sharing with you my kind of cyclic consciousness exploring infinity metaphysic.
Yes.
And you were saying, and the idea is kind of like Erwin Laszlo has talked about as well, where you undergo this toroidal style of the Big Bang, followed by a big crunch style thing that is constantly cyclic, but you scrape the Big Bang.
I'm not buying it.
And then you also scrape Darwinian natural selection, and you scrape also round Earth. And so,
oh yeah, I mean,
so
these are all things that are proven. These are all things that are proven by spherical trigonometry. I mean, just do the mathematics. I mean, I don't want to get too in depth here, because we all know what happens to those that they do get too in depth. Unfortunately, they're not with us very, very long. But what I can say, what I'm at liberty to say, is that NASA comes from the root word nasha, which means to deceive in Hebrew. It was started by a Nazi scientist by the name Werner von Braun. Right there, if that's not enough alone to make sure that you know that this is not a trustworthy entity, then I don't need to go any further. Because if you can understand, based on the inception and what this is about and what the symbols are with NASA and what it's really, really about, then I might as well save my breath, you know? But let's just go ahead and continue for entertainment purposes, okay? So, by the way, I mean, that alone pretty much says it. But yeah, I mean, the Big Bang Theory. Okay, I'm gonna keep this very
maybe
elementary,
and maybe right before we get to Big Bang Theory, just to clarify on what then is occurring if it's not. I mean, these are all interrelated concepts, but then what is occurring if not the using the jet fuels and propellants to
oh yeah, I mean, all rocket launches are hoaxes. I mean, if you look, they go in distinctly a parabolic curve. I mean, there's not men in tiny ships going out to outer space. They're literally going up out of view, and then what's happening is they're landing in controlled waters is what's happening.
Okay, so then what is
rocket launchers are hoaxes?
What is, from
my research,
what is occurring? Thanks for that last bit. What is occurring, again, anti-dogmatic always. What is occurring then when we have like a celestial body like the moon?
Okay, which, by the way, the moon is translucent in nature. So the moon is actually a translucent object, meaning that during certain waxing, during a blue moon, right, during certain waxing and waning cycles, which, by the way, you only see the same face of the moon. You never see the other side of it. It does rotate, but it's facing towards you at all times. It's like a frisbee, and you see the same side. It's simply rotating like this. You never see it, the back side. That's why Pink Floyd wrote the Dark Side of the Moon, which also has the Isaac Newton, which he was an early Freemason. Isaac Newton has the the prism with the light reflecting or refracting out of it, which is Newton came up with this theory of gravity. Okay, theory of gravity, which is simply just that. It's a theory. It's never been proven.
So if we're not on a spherical planet that's orbiting a light source that is
totally
powering,
not. I can give you an experiment right now that will prove it to you.
And then
you can do it at home.
And then the sun that's supposedly 93 million miles away that's powering life on the planet.
It's only a few thousand miles away. It's not 93 million. See, that's the thing. What is NASA?
The sun is only a few thousand miles away.
It's not 93 million miles away.
And how do you know that it's only a few thousand miles
away? Well, this
away?
is what I've researched. I mean, no one knows anything. But one thing I can do is I can do a lot of research, and I can do what's called discernment, right? And so, if an organization called NASA, which it means to deceive, is telling me something, how gullible would I be to just buy it right off the bat, right? So here's the thing.
But what's in their incentive? So
here's the thing.
What's the manipulation incentive?
What's the incentive? Because
them,
the thing is, whether we understand their incentive or not doesn't mean that they're not doing it.
So the reason I remember you said that scientists can be bought like politicians.
Oh, yeah, scientists
I
can
remember
easily be
that
bought.
part, of course.
Yeah, but are you asking why they're doing this? Why they're painting this false view of reality upon the lower class?
Let's do that.
That's what they've always done. Just because we may not understand why exactly, which I have a good reason of one of the reasons why. Because they don't want us to have too much knowledge. They don't want you to become too powerful. They don't want you to recognize, your own divinity from within. But here's the thing.
And why would that be?
Why would that be? Well, because the elite. Because then they can't have power over us. It's all about power. It's all about greed and control and power for these individuals.
Okay, so the idea
they want to keep us in
is
the
that
dark.
there is there's a class of elite.
So here we go.
That have
perverse
incentives to keep
humanity in the dark. That's why secret societies exist. They're not releasing the knowledge. Now, let me put it this way. They make you think that you evolved from monkeys and that you're just stuck to the side of a spinning ball that's going 666, they like that number, 666 million miles through space while orbiting the sun, while, with 1,000 mile per hour eastward rotation. Which, by the way, I'll get into an experiment here in a second. But, and people always used to think that the Earth was flat. It was only until, different types of Freemasons came along, like Newton and all these other Copernicus, etc., right, that were basically come up with this whole round Earth theory. Okay, now it's complete bullshit, and I'm going to tell you exactly how. And I'm going to give you the mathematics behind it. I'm going to give you experiments that have been done in the past and ones you can do at home today, because I believe in proving everything I say. Now, you have to understand, I too was once brainwashed. I too once drank the Kool-Aid. I too believed everything I heard at school. I too believed everything I saw on the Science Channel and all this stuff. I too was gullible. I too was believable. I too thought that there was no harm that could ever be done and the world was all sunshine and rainbow.
You've never experienced the double helical structure of DNA yourself, but you believe in it because it's been proven by Rosalind Franklin.
By Watson and Crick. Which were the two Nobel Prize award-winning scientists that discovered the shape of the double helix of our DNA while high on LSD, D-lysergic acid diethylamide, which has a tryptamine nucleus, which tryptamine is 2 trivial enzymatic steps from tryptophan. And the thing is it's an accelerated dose of dimethyltryptamine, which ayahuasca, the Banisterius capi vine, the ayahuasca vine, ironically grows in the same shape of the double helix of our DNA. Which, yeah, and so, but the thing is, though, is
But you believe this, and which is very interesting.
Do I believe it? I believe it's a possibility. I believe that everything is a possibility.
Fair. Okay. So
I don't really believe necessarily anything. What I do believe is that everything is a possibility.
Well, we have to have some sort of communal sense making, which assists in the most optimal trajectory of planetary flourishing. And there's discernment, there's research and discernment that occurs in this process.
Just give me 30 seconds.
It's a lot, though, because I just want to also be fair, Joshua, for myself and for so many people, just that, like, we have to be a little, I think, potentially maybe more gentle, because it's quite hard to say, like, I too was once completely brainwashed. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just meant that I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I believe because it's also major institution.
It's also not binary in the sense that people that are understanding, which is what I tried to prove with that double helical structure of DNA, because it's hard. You can't just say that there's one side which is completely binary brainwash that thinks all of the science
just believe
of mainstream,
what the television tells them, or the
and then there's
books.
the other side which is 100% completely binary right.
Yeah,
there's mixes,
I'm not saying I'm
there's
right.
Mixes
I'm just telling you information. Yeah, I'm not telling you that I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you information that I've researched, and then use
like
your own
the
discernment.
sun being a couple thousand miles away.
I originally thought the same thing everyone did, that the Earth was round. And then I heard about the flat Earth theory.
Okay,
and
here's the runway. Go ahead.
And I thought
Take
it was
the runway.
just because if not, we'll never get through.
Take the runway.
So I became a flat earther by trying to disprove the flat Earth. I was using heavy language there, right? Because people don't like to be called out on their bullshit. There's an old saying, right? But the whole thing is that I too believed everything I heard pretty much from the scientific communities, right? The Earth is round. And so when I heard about the flat Earth theory, I thought it was so ridiculous. I was like, man, this stuff is ridiculous. Why would anyone ever think that, right? And it's just something that we're taught at a very young age, at the time we're children. We say, we're showed this round Earth, okay? It's called blank slate theory. You can obviously manipulate it. So we're shown this big round Earth, and they say that the Earth is round, and we say, well, if the Earth is round, then, as a child, we would tell the teacher, well, what about the people at the bottom? Why won't they fall off? And they say, oh, that's gravity. That's gravity. No need to look any further. And so we bought into it at a very young age, and we've grown up and we've been conditioned through the backgrounds on our computers and through the symbols and all the corporate logos that, hey, we're living on this, round Earth due to gravity. Gravity is the only thing that's keeping this ship afloat. Okay. Now here's the thing. Sir Isaac Newton, whenever he discovered the theory of gravity, it's just a theory. It's never been proven. Due to density, objects fall to Earth. If I have a brick in one hand and a feather in the other, and I let go both of them at the same time, okay, which one do you think is going to hit the ground first? Obviously the brick, right? Because it weighs more. Okay, but it's not due to gravity. It's due to density. So the idea is that anytime something is more dense than the air, like the apple that Isaac Newton, observed that fell to the ground, anytime something is more dense than the air, it will fall to Earth, not due to gravity, due to density, which is mass times cubic volume times weight. And so the whole thing is that we just buy this complete lie. Okay, now give me a second to re-invoke my thoughts for a second, okay? Because there's a lot to cover. You're going to be hearing a lot here. So the whole thing is, there's actually never been a scientific experiment, not one, that has shown a heliocentric object that shows water gravitized around it. It's just not the natural tendencies of water. Water always finds its level. If you notice the natural occurrences of water, it always finds its level. That's why there's a thing called a level that you use to measure how level something is, and guess what's in the middle of it? Water. Okay, so it's like they're just throwing it in your face. They're hysterically laughing at you guys. They're hysterically laughing, like deep belly diaphragm, like laughing, like real laughing at people that believe this, because it's part of their magic. It's part of their thing. It's like they're rubbing our faces in it. They're mocking it. Mocking us with it. So here's the thing. So there's no scientific experiment that shows any heliocentric object that has water gravitizing around it. It's not anything naturally occurring in nature, okay? And then the other thing, too, is that if gravity is such a strong force to hold the Eiffel Tower stuck, if you can answer me this one question, then maybe I'll change my mind. But until someone gives me a legit answer, I'm of this opinion. How is gravity such a strong force to hold the Eiffel Tower stuck to the side of a spinning ball, but yet it's weak enough to allow birds and insects to fly so freely? If someone can give me an honest answer to that question, I would love to hear it. Now, continuing beyond that, look up a guy named Samuel Rowbottom, which basically if you were born on the middle of an island somewhere, basically, and nobody told you that the Earth was round, what would your eyes naturally observe and see? You wouldn't think that it was round, would you? In fact, when you go up in an airplane, I mean, there's just so much. This might even be some round 2 stuff, because there's so many experiments and everything.
Totally.
But like, that's why, like, if the Earth was round, so put your hands like this for me real quick, okay? So just like this, okay? So if the Earth was round, okay, then that means if you fly in an airplane, that means, keep your hands just like that, okay? So that means if you fly in an airplane, that means that the pilot would have to dip the nose down. Do an actual ball. You're not doing a ball, like an actual, yeah, just like this, just a ball, okay? So that means that if you're flying in an airplane, the pilot would have to dip the nose down every 5 to 15 minutes or so to stay with the curvature of the Earth. But that's not what happens. When you fly in an airplane, you go straight up, you go straight across, and look, if you're going straight across and the Earth is round, well then where the hell are you going? Out here in outer space or something, right? Now, a lot of people would say, so that's another thing, okay? The other thing is that they claim, NASA, to deceive, claims that there's 1,000-mile eastward rotation, okay? 1,000 mile per hour eastward rotation. If that's the case, that means that planes would have to take off and land on runways that are moving. That means they'd have to head west in order to fly north. But that's not what happens when you observe this, okay? The other thing is, like, there's been experiments where, and you can do this yourself, okay? You'll stand on the edge of a beach, okay? So remember, the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference, okay? 25,000, that's the official numerology there, okay? So if you stand, there's been experiments. People do this on YouTube. They've even recorded it and uploaded it. But if you stand on the edge of a beach and watch a ship sail out from the shore off until the horizon, right? If you stay trained on that, if you keep your eye trained on that ship as it slowly sails, it's going to get smaller and smaller until eventually it disappears. Now, most people think, oh, that's because it's going over the curvature of the Earth. Well, that's not the case, because if we take a pair of binoculars, then the ship comes back, okay? And then once we're tuned into the ship on the binoculars and we're watching the ship sail out to sea, okay, finally we're watching on the binoculars, okay, and then finally, once it sails out far enough, okay, then the ship disappears again. So then surely people would say, oh, it's got to go over the curvature of the Earth now. I mean, it's so far, right? But if you take a telescope and you look at the ship again, the ship comes back. Now, you're tuned in on this telescope, and you're still trained on the ship that's still going flat straight out across the Earth, okay? And then finally, when the ship gets so small you can barely see it with the telescope, it disappears. So then surely all the skeptics are going to say, wow, that's surely got to be the curvature of the Earth then, right? Keep in mind 25,000 miles in circumference, okay, not radius. So you have to keep in there the mathematics when you're doing this. I'll go over the spherical trigonometry in a second, which will really get you going. But what happens is once that ship disappears in the telescope, okay, it goes over the curvature of the Earth, right? Like, as So to Deceive would like you to know, NASA, started by a Nazi scientist, Werner von Braun, which has on his gravestone a reference to the firmament over the Earth. Because apparently even in the Bible, they said God separated the waters from above and the waters from below and made a space in the middle and talks about the firmament. So Werner von Braun, look at his gravestone, has a quote on the firmament. But you have that telescope and the ship disappears. Surely it's got to be over the edge now, right? Or over the curvature of the Earth. But if you take it even, and you can do this experiment yourself, you take an even higher powered telescope and you put it back on and the ship still comes back. I shit you not. So that proves that the Earth is not round. Now, I'm not saying it's completely flat, okay? I'm just telling you that it's even NASA and Neil deGrasse Tyson, even NASA came out and said, oh, by the way, the Earth is actually pear-shaped. You can look this up. NASA came out, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is another Freemason, came out and said that the Earth is pear-shaped. Just type in Neil deGrasse Tyson pear-shaped. You can pull up the video on YouTube. There's a little clip of him saying it. Let's see. There are also highest order shape deviations with make. Okay, so basically,
1 second. Let me just adjust this to actually get the search on.
Yeah, and just realize for all of you
people
listening, just realize it's going to take more than a 5-minute explanation of this to break an entire lifetime of programming. So just be aware. But that's why I'm going to give you some experiments you can do for yourself.
This is from the search of the
Just type
Earth is pear-shaped.
Just
And
type
the
in Neil deGrasse Tyson.
And the answer here from NASA is there are also other higher order shape deviations which make the Earth slightly pear-shaped with a larger southern hemisphere surface area
So they're just trying to
than in the northern hemisphere, but at a level of a kilometer or so in radial girth.
Exactly. They
So
don't even know.
that's very minimal. And
Well, here's the thing. Regardless of how minimal, well, first of all, you're reading from NASA, which is NASA, right? But also, we're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of the most, foremost scientists out there, right? Look up the clip on YouTube. Don't go to the people that are going to say they're going to deceive you. Go to the deceivers themselves. Neil deGrasse Tyson said the Earth is pear-shaped. Okay, so look more into it. But my question is, if the Earth is pear-shaped, then what are these perfectly round spherical images that we're seeing in our science books? So NASA can't even get their own story straight.
Well, here it says that it's a level of a kilometer.
I don't care
so.
what they say because it's
Fair.
I just don't trust them. They have no reason to be trusted. Now here's the other thing.
There's other points on the runway that you want to keep hitting.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So check this out. Speaking of runway, if we were really on it, like I said earlier, 1,000 mile per hour eastward rotation, that means planes would have to take off and land on runways that were moving. Just riddle me that.
I have a log of a couple of the things that I want to get back to. That you mentioned,
for sure. So the other thing too is so they say NASA says that we're going 666 million miles through space. They really like that number, 666. So we're going 666 million miles through space with a 1,000 mile per hour eastward rotation, okay, while orbiting the sun. So I want you to imagine that in your head, okay? Traveling through space, okay, 666 million miles, 1,000 miles per hour eastward rotation while orbiting the sun, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, here's an experiment you can do at home so you can prove this to yourself. You take a long exposure camera and you sit it on the ground and you point it up towards the North Star and you let it sit for 3 days. There's also people on YouTube doing this as well. There's even people that have their own little miniature rockets they send up and then it hits the firmament and then it, kind of dissipates. But so the whole thing is, the firmament, as mentioned in the Bible, like not that that's, the best sense of reference, but it does have some truths. So here's the thing. If you take a long exposure camera and point it towards the North Star and just record the movement of the heavens for 3 days, okay, and then you do a time lapse and you play it back, you will see, okay, prove this to yourself. This is no he said, she said, NASA said. I don't give a shit about any of that. I care about real experiments, okay, like I told you with the telescope and everything else. Now, the thing is when you look and play the video back, you'll see that the North Star stays the same and literally all the heavens revolve around us. So it's not the sun that is at the center of the galaxy and all the planets revolving around the sun.
The solar system.
Essentially, exactly.
Because
we're covering a lot of material. But what I'm saying is that do this experiment yourself, okay? You'll see that everything that the Earth stays stationary and that we are the center of this solar system at least, and that the heavens are rotating around us. I shit you not. Look this stuff up. Now, with all that being said, the elite class, a lot of people ask, okay, so why would they be doing this? Okay, like that's great and all, Josh. Like I've even had people that said I did the long exposure camera, I did the whole ship sailing off at sea, I did all this. Like they're like, okay, so obviously, you've proven it to me. But they say, but I just don't get why they're trying to do this. And I always say, just because you don't understand why doesn't mean that they're not doing it. And here's the thing, too, is that, the elite class, or I don't even like calling them elite, the predatory class, has always tried to depict a false view of reality upon the lower class since the beginning of time. And the reason why I think one of the reasons why they're doing it is because they know that if they convince you that there was this big bang, which is basically saying that there was nothing and then nothing exploded and then that created something, if you can believe that, you can believe anything. So I'm not buying it. But the whole thing is the Big Bang Theory, the theory of evolution, right, and the round Earth, they're all tied in together from my research. They're all tied in together to sell you the idea that you evolved from apes. You're just one tiny little speck in this galaxy that's a part of another galaxy that's even bigger than another galaxy and another big of this vast, vast universe, okay? And they make you think that basically since you evolved from apes and you're stuck on the side of a spinning ball, it doesn't really matter because that spinning ball is, one fraction of a size of all the vastness of the universe. They make you think that your life doesn't matter. And if they make you think that your life doesn't matter, then they know that you're not going to try to
become enlightened.
Yes, exactly. Now, here's the thing. Now, last thing I want to say on this, okay? And then I really am going to have to go because of time and everything. But the whole thing is if you go to nasa.gov, their website themselves, and you download their images, like the one where the guy's standing on the moon and looking at the Earth, right? You know that famous image? Go to nasa.gov, download the image from their own stuff themselves. It's proven to be CGI. I promise you that. I had a guy that worked at JPL. But anyway, so you download the images from nasa.gov, you upload it to Adobe Photoshop, and then you drop the saturations and the levels down, and you'll be able to see a black box that it was pretty much like clip art, copy and pasted around the Earth. This is another experiment you can do yourself. So if the Earth really is round, then why are they trying to, hide this stuff from us? Why are they trying to manipulate this and use CGI and all this? That's my question. And so when you tie that in with the theory of gravity and the round Earth, and then Darwinism, evolution, and then the Big Bang, it's all to sell you the idea that you don't matter and that this life doesn't matter, and just keep working and go to sleep and watch TV, and that's it, So that's basically all I have to say about that. I mean, there might be little tidbits of here that you may, have a counter argument, this or that. But at the end of the day, do the experiments I told you about, research those experiments, and then come talk to me after that. Because right now we're just going based off information that, preconceived ideas. And just realize, last thing, is it's going to take more than 5 minutes of me explaining this to break an entire lifetime of programming. So just be aware of that. And maybe you'll end up like I did, where you didn't believe the flat earth theory, and you go out and you try to disprove it, and then that's what ends up making you believe it.
The unique thing about me and the unique thing about this program is that we don't play the game of taking that unique artistic expression of consciousness that arises and destroying it, straw manning it, all that type of stuff. We let it flower. And then myself and the audience get to decide on your mimetic spread and whether the ideas are resonant.
Yes.
And so then we can leave it there for now.
Yeah.
And I have many pieces in that on round 2
100%.
to hit back on that may be insightful for the further elevation of dialogue and exploration. Yeah.
And the other thing too is that 100%. What was there was one last thing I was going to say about that in particular. Oh yeah. So just like the whole making money thing, people come to me, they say, I want to learn how to make money. I say, okay, how many hours a day do you spend learning how to make money? And the answer is always nothing, or very little. And then I say, well, don't be surprised when you look in your bank account and there's not much money there, right? So anytime someone tries to debate me, a healthy debate, obviously, right? We're all friends. We're all, regardless. We're not going to let views separate us. But anytime someone tries to debate me on anything, especially the flat earth, this is my question. How many hours of research have you done on this very specific topic that renders you a great credit to your name to be able to speak on such topics? Because I know for me, I've spent hours and hours and hours and days and weeks. I've became so enthralled and interested in this. I've read all the literature. I've looked at all the videos. I've put in the 10,000 hours on this topic. My question to anyone that would like to debate me on this topic is, how many hours have you put in? And if the answer is very slim, then what makes you an expert to speak on this topic? That's the last thing I had to say. Mic drop.
Generally speaking, there's an important resonant frequency to what you just said, which is that there's within people's North Star explorations, there's an amount of investment that people take with their consciousness and their energy to look at the fitness landscape of ideas and try to parse for signal across disciplines, synthesize, come up with insightful revelations about the nature of consciousness and reality. And I appreciate what you shared, and that I think round 2 and feel that round 2 we can get some interesting tennis going on that
exactly
subject.
I always say, don't tell me what you believe, don't tell me what you've been told from a very young age, especially from major institutions. Show me how long you've been researching this subject and tell me what you've researched, and then we can have an intelligent discussion. Otherwise, it's all based on preconceived notions of what we've been told.
I think it's super interesting that although everything you just did the runway on was your expression of consciousness and rich and aromatic, I just want to say that it's really interesting how even though that happened, that fundamentally, metaphysically, we're aligned as consciousness being fundamental and eternally exploring. It's just
the thing is,
there's something really interesting about.
Well, the thing is,
that.
and I'm just speaking up about this because I just don't want humanity to go further down the slippery slope. And so the whole thing is like, the reason why they don't want this information out there is because the round earth theory is the mother of all the great conspiracy theories. This is the one theory that once this one theory gets out to the entire world, which is really not a theory. If anything, gravity is a theory. I mean, but anyway, this is the one conspiracy theory, the flat earth, right? This is the great motherlode of all conspiracies, because this is the one thing that once the average human wakes up to this idea and they do the research, okay, they don't just believe what they heard in kindergarten and believed it and then never look back, right? They actually take a critical eye and do what I've done, which is actually take time.
And
Everyone's quick to talk.
I would also like to put that the one usually people insert here is fiat currency.
Yeah.
That's the creature of Jekyll Island, etc.
Yeah.
So when you
fractional
go
reserve banking,
fractional
quantitative
reserve
easing.
banking.
I know all that.
So when
stuff.
you put I know you listen, and so when you put it in the hierarchy, you say that flat Earth is above that, which then
it's above
opens
everything,
up
because this is the
rest.
one. This is the one
Sure,
conspiracy that once people wake up to this, it's going to take everything down, because then people are finally going to realize that they've been lied to. Mark Twain, another Freemason, he said that it's a lot easier to convince people, it's a lot easier to fool people.
The lie spreads around the world faster than the truth puts its shoes on.
Yes, but he also said that it's easier to fool someone than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. And right now, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that I'm trying to convince you that you've been fooled. Do the research and prove me wrong,
I love it. Round 2, super pumped. That's going to be, I love that. All right. And I guess the last question is, because we've already done so much around consciousness and nature of reality, we can unpack that more in round 2.
Yeah.
It's a very fun, silly question, which
Yeah.
actually has a little bit of metaphysical implication to it. It is, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food has got to be, I would say, lobster, man. I just really love lobster.
Why?
Because the way that it tastes. I just love seafood, Actually, it doesn't even really have to be lobster. I just love like genre of food or like individual dish.
Both.
I guess
great.
both. So what I like is I like Italian food, Greek food.
What in
Mexican.
those? What in Italian? What in Greek? What specific?
I like, I hate to say it because it's a code word for some other shit, but I do like pasta. Pizza's okay, I guess, but really just intricate dishes like that. Greek is like gyros are good. I don't eat much meat. I'm mostly vegan. Chinese food is really good, like shrimp fried rice and all that stuff. I like Thai food. Thai food's got to be probably one of my favorite foods in the world. And pad Thai and pad see ew. And then let's see what else. And then
seafood you want to do?
Yeah. Seafood's really, really good too. So I love that stuff.
That was the first time on the show that a guest went into the different cultural genres of food and broke those down by their favorites.
Yeah.
I like that you did that a lot. That's great. And the metaphysical implications of the question are something I only realized like a week ago asking this question on the show, which is that it's funny because the same way that individual conscious agents have preferences for tastes of food, you can think about that's a micro phenomena, and on a macro phenomena, consciousness has different phenomenological experiential playgrounds that it enters into to have those experiences as tastes.
And I love Indian food too. Anything that's like
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay.
So
all right, Josh, that's a wrap. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I guess as a brief recap, we covered a ridiculous amount of epicness. We have, just in general, piercing the veil of reality. We have that giving the world's best ideas maximum exposure by reverse engineering SEO algorithms. And that's doing things like actually exploring the Google patents, reverse engineering those, reverse engineering the competitors and what they do. You can use tools like SEMrush to do so. Again, this deeper keyword analysis, and then you create unique landing pages for each keyword, and that will drive your North Star goals. And you can use ineedarticles.com to do so. Again, SEO is the beautiful funnel that gets you all of your leads, your sales, people using your product and services. You can funnel them into any of these other places afterward as well. And that also beyond SEO, going into things like photons equals light, light equals information, information equals consciousness, and the entire exploration of all of the pieces of content around those fields. So again, you can check out the link in the bio below is Joshua Earp's Instagram profile. You can check him out. He has very thought-provoking stories he posts there. He's got a lot of other really awesome content that he links to there for you to go check out around SEO. That graphic that we were exploring is on his website, which is linked in the Instagram as well. And that also, thank you very much for tuning in. Massively appreciate you. Super duper grateful. And Josh Earp, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you, guys.
This has been so awesome. What an incredible round one.
I mean, the thing is when I opened up for Edward Snowden at Secret Knock a few years ago, which is also on my Instagram videos or pictures, Edward Snowden came out and he said something incredibly profound. He said, the reason why most people don't speak up about the truth, right, no matter how obscure it is, like, flat earth or this or that, vaccines, 5G, whatever, the reason why is because of their fear of criticism. Okay, and that's something that really resonated with me.
It's interesting.
And so the thing is the only way to avoid criticism is to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing.
That's right.
And so that's why, even though that I might be highly criticized, go ahead, criticize me all you want. I'm here to spread the truth, and I'm here to whether you like it or not, whether it breaks your programming or not, I'm here to say it.
And we're doing it in different ways.
The thing is I always speak my truth, and it doesn't resonate with everyone because sometimes you can't teach a baby how to walk when they're in the crawling stage, and so we have to progressively
you can't pull flowers to make them grow.
You can't teach a baby how to walk when they're in the crawling stage, so you have to slowly and kindly guide them towards the right direction. And by the way, just on the flat earth thing, look up some YouTube videos. Dave Murphy, type in Dave Murphy Flat Earth, and type in Eric Dubé Flat Earth. Those are two great resources and videos, and that have done theses on this, and it's highly enlightening to say the least. And I didn't believe it at first either. So
the way that I would also illustrate it visually, like we do on High Level Perceptions Chapter 4 Portals, is that it's really important as people endeavor away from the consensus reality game A neuroticism of the evolutionary pacer that's actually unsustainable. And you see these like game B omni-win civilizational architects that are happening. We have to be more excited about supporting people that are trying to do their best to go into these territories of these genius level mutations, although some of them might be wrong and some of them might be deeply right, and that it's extremely important to identify that. And that's why we say at the end of every episode, do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do your own research. And if the video resonated, like it, share it with other people, subscribe to the channel. Also, that support the other scientists, spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs, engineers, artists, people in their fields that are in your communities and around the world that you believe in. Support them and execute your own North Stars into the world and leverage these patterns that Josh was sharing on the show around SEO. And we can build that more beautiful future our hearts know is possible. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap, folks. Love you very much. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Peace. That's it, my man. That's it.